Good morning, everybody. Good morning, live from South Texas. How are you guys this morning? I hope you guys are ready for what might be a really early launch this morning for those of us, here in South Texas, those of us Starship fans. Hi, I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. As you can tell by our camera out there, it is not great. It is very foggy. That foggy is going to have to lift. Believe it or not, that camera is only about 100 meters away, or 150 meters away. It's about 500 feet from the rocket, and you cannot see anything this morning. Absolutely anything. The stream still says scrubbed, but it's not. Hold on, let me fix that. Awaiting T0, my friends. Update. There we go. So yeah, we are awaiting a T0 this morning. Elon was tweeting just last night saying they're tracking for a potential liftoff at 8 a.m. live. So that is exactly at this point right now, depending on the status of it, that would mean they are going to go live here, and we might see a launch in 2 hours and 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set it for today at 2:10, which is March 30th. Or not 2:10. As you can tell, I haven't done that thing called sleep yet. 8 o'clock. All right. 8 o'clock. Update. And here we go. So that's going to be our approximate. That would count down to 8 o'clock local time. So how are you guys? I hope you guys are ready for this. I really hope the weather clears out. It sounds like they're clearly looking for a small window of decent weather this morning. Before rest of the weather for the week is not good. We really want to see this thing fly, of course. This is not looking good weather-wise, and we're obviously all waiting for SN11 to launch, so hopefully this is the day. Now, before we get started, the best thing we can do, if you guys have any questions about this rocket, about anything SN11 related, you should definitely check out our pre-launch preview. That is our rundown. If you go to everydayastronaut.com, you can go through here and you can actually check out everything you want to know about this particular launch. So click on upcoming launches. Actually, here I'm going to go out just a little bit there. There we go. So this is hoping to take off. I need to refresh this because that is already out of date, as you can tell. All right, so March 30th, that is today. We are looking at the road closure starts from 7 a.m., which is about 1 hour from right now, 1 hour and 10 minutes, until 3 p.m. local time. So that is an 8-hour launch window of road closure time. Not just launch window, but road closure. It takes about the minimum time from road closure to launch would be about 1 hour. And then, of course, they'd have to be able to safe the vehicle and everything by that 3 o'clock road closure time. So we will see if this is going to be enough tests. So the mission today, this is, of course, the medium altitude test flight, which is approximately 10 kilometers, so 33,000 feet in the air, just like SN9 and SN10, same flight profile, we think. The mission name, or the launch provider for this is SpaceX. This is a SpaceX mission. The customer who is paying for this is SpaceX. The rocket, this is Starship SN11. So, of course, the 11th version of these Starship prototypes that you guys are probably quite familiar with. If you are one of the 9,000 people tuned in bright and early this morning, I think you know exactly what SN11 is, right? The launch location for this one is on Test Stand B, so that's the same one that SN9 launched from, so hopefully it has better success than SN9. Hopefully that pad isn't cursed, but it's out at Test Stand B. In our shot, believe it or not, again, even though it's super foggy, to the left there would be where Stand A is. I can't believe how foggy. It's worse there than here. We have almost nothing for you guys this morning. It is really, really, really foggy. So, yeah, we are hoping to have something. So Test Stand B there. Is there a payload? Of course, there is no payload, at least a dedicated payload. There might be some mass simulators and things to actually kind of help weigh the vehicle down and get it to be able to follow the profile that SpaceX has planned for it. And the whole point of these profiles is to go up nice and slow. That's why we'll see them shutting down engines and then to fall belly first and practice that belly first to tail down landing maneuver. That's all they're working on right now. Forget everything else. Forget efficiency or any. They're just trying to stick that maneuver. So there is no payload. And again, as far as satellites go, this rocket will have no satellites on it at all. It's literally just a test vehicle. So will they be attempting to recover the first stage? So for this, this is technically the second stage, the upper stage of the Starship vehicle. And yes, they are attempting to recover it. However, in the case of Starship, the super heavy will be this will be the second stage of the entire vehicle that someday is recovered, but they're just practicing this upper stage recovery. Where will this first stage land? This is going to land on the landing pad about 360 meters, about 1,000 feet away from Test Stand B. As you know, it's had about 3 craters in it now from SN8, SN9, and SN10. It's terrifyingly close to the launch pad and the tank farm. So, yeah. Will they be attempting to recover fairings? Unlike Falcon 9s and other vehicles, of course, currently Starship has no fairing, has no payload bay, traditional payload bay. Eventually, it will kind of have a payload bay that can deploy with its kind of jaws like an alligator. But there are none of that on this vehicle yet. It's just simply a fixed nose cone. So, again, are these fairings new? There are no fairings currently on Starship. As far as how's the weather? I'd say NA is a good thing to describe the weather. The weather is not available. The weather is not available for comment. It is not looking good. It is really not looking good. This is going to be the first flight of SN11, the third flight of a Starship prototype to 10 kilometers, the sixth flight of a Starship prototype, excluding 3 Starhopper. Well, technically, I think it's only 2 because it had the 20-meter hop and then the 150-meter hop. It did have 1 tethered static fire, but that doesn't count as a hop. So it had 2 free flights. We might need to change that. And then it's the 4th flight of a Starship with a nose cone and aerodynamic flight control surfaces. So, yeah, if you guys want to learn more about SN11 or 8, 9, and 10 or all of the Starship stuff, go ahead and read through our awesome article here at everydayastronaut.com. Click on upcoming launches, and you can kind of get all the facts and all the details that you need to know to understand this stuff, and including beautiful pictures from our friend Trevor Mallman, who, of course, you guys know is just a phenomenal photographer. So, yeah, let's check out that stupid lack of a pad. It's, woo, look at that. So, again, the road closes in about 1 hour from right now. So, we will see if this is actually going to be the day that we see SN11 fly. I'm personally not feeling too hopeful about it yet, but, yeah, we will see. So, all right, let's go ahead and get through you guys. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out where we actually started. Looks like we are starting with Musical Wolves. Actually, wait. Boop, 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 boop. Can you light up the Mars logo behind me? Believe it or not, okay. We swapped out to maybe there's a point of contention. Thanks for it is actually on. There's actually the same red glow that's been on the whole time, but now that we have a black background, it does not reflect at all. And, you know, physics and stuff and things, and now you can't see the red glow behind the sign. Literally at all. I am sorry, guys. People are saying the stream is laggy, but is that on our end? It shouldn't be. Let's see. Yeah, let me know, guys. It should be. It's showing totally all systems go here on my end, but please let me know. Yeah. So unfortunately, the sign is lit up, but it's Musical Wolves. Did I get enough sleep? No. Do you think SpaceX will launch SN15 with vacuum Raptors to see if Starship can land with all 6 engines installed? Great question, Musical Wolves. No, 15 will definitely not have the vacuum optimized Raptors yet. They are not ready for flight, and you wouldn't want to land with all 6 engines. You can't use vacuum optimized engines at sea levels. Just simply, it's no bueno. It is very, very not good. So we talked about this a little bit the other day, but basically a vacuum optimized engine has a much larger nozzle extension. And what that means is, so basically you have your combustion chamber, which is going to be extremely high pressure gas. You put it through your D-Lavelle nozzle, and what it does is that chokes the flow. And then from that point out, in order to speed up the because now it's at supersonic speeds at the throat, the narrowest point of the rocket engine. After that point here, actually, I'll pull it up here on this screen for you for a second. This is just kind of a quick little thing here, but yeah, you'll see that there's the combustion chamber, and then it chokes here at the throat, and then from that point out, as it expands, it actually will speed up the gases. So it's kind of backwards from what you might think, because you might think, you know, if you constrict the flow, it's going to speed up the gas, right? Speed up the exhaust gas, and it does until it gets to supersonic speeds. Once it's at supersonic speeds, you actually have to do the opposite. You actually have to expand it out. And what that does is it lowers the pressure. It exchanges pressure for exhaust gas velocity. And so what happens is, as you make the nozzle longer and wider, it lowers the pressure. It speeds up the exhaust gas, which is a good thing. But it gets to the point where if you drop the pressure too much below the ambient air pressure, because of course we're sitting here at 1 bar or 14.7 psi at sea level. So if you drop too much below that, like 10, if you go down to, you know, 0.5 bar or something, you'll likely destroy your nozzle, because the ambient air is going to be pressing up and trying to literally rip it. It begins to rip the flames off of the nozzle walls, and that will literally destroy your nozzle, which your nozzle is your nozzle is your end, you know, is part of your engine. So just because if your nozzle gets destroyed, it's not like you just go, oh, no big deal. Especially in a regeneratively cooled engine like Raptor or Merlin, or like most modern rocket engines, the nozzle is actually fuel lines. There's literally channels of fuel running through the nozzle. So if your nozzle blows apart, now your engine is just completely gone. So you cannot run vacuum optimized Raptor engines at sea level safely. Now you can do things to kind of help combat that, but we will not see them use 6 engines to land for SN15, or likely with any Starship here at sea level on Earth at least. But other planets, sure. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer. Here's hoping I get a launch for your 22nd birthday. I hope so too, Jake. I am really hoping that this thing goes off this morning, because we are finally set up and ready to go. And I don't want to keep doing this every single day. We've got, you know, we got things to do around here, my friends. But yeah, let's hope that it does launch. What do you guys think in the chat? I want to know, do you think today is going to be the day that we actually see this thing launch? Do you think... I think the vehicle is one. I think the vehicle and SpaceX are 100% ready. I think weather is a no-go. But I want to know what you guys think. I'm guessing weather is going to be the problem here. But we'll see. Thank you very much from Bonda World. All right, this is from a good question from Internaut. 3 persons were installing something in the yard yesterday. What was it? So that is our... Oh. All right, sweet. We've got pad audio. That was what we're installing. We are installing, on launch days, SpaceX has granted us permission to set up remote cameras, just like at any other launch site. So, you know, when you go to Slick, LC-39A or Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral, or, you know, Slick 4E or something like that, or 6 or wherever, you know, and put a launch pad down, then normally, you know, credentialed members of the media are capable of setting up remote cameras. Now, this has been going on since the dawn of this spaceflight era. I've been doing it personally for 7 years as a professional aerospace media person, I guess is the best way to describe what I do. I don't know. Yeah, so we got permission from SpaceX, and they are allowing us on launch days to set up remote cameras, just like at any other launch site. We're extremely grateful for that. That had been something that we've been asking for literally since Starhopper. When I started coming out here 2 years ago and live streaming here 2 years ago, we were asking if we could put up remote cameras. This is something that, you know, we're used to in the spaceflight community. So a lot of us that have you know, done this before and have covered launches in the past, we maybe got a little spoiled because we're used to being able to set up remote cameras. So yesterday we were able to drop down a remote camera with the scrub. We retrieved it as we were asked to do, and then we set it back up this morning. So that is the image you're seeing today. Is we are actually able to get you guys some images from the pad, although it seems like currently it may be a little bit borked, but we are working out the kinks, and we have 1 hour to make sure that we get it all the way back up. So give us a second, and we should have actually a lot better view this morning here than that even, especially of the landing, which I'm really, really, really excited about. So, yeah. All right, so this is from From Durr, Stefan says, a cup of coffee for you. You rock. Well, thank you very much. Coffee will be very, very necessary for this one. If this one doesn't happen at 8 a.m. like SpaceX wants, and this is a long stream on like 3 hours of sleep, this is going to be great. On 3 hours of sleep for like the third night in a row. Sleep deprivation Tim equals best deprivation Tim. Wait, sleep deprivation? I don't know. All right, this is from Darium, says, good morning, Tim. Good luck for the flight today. Amazing job with the new cameras. Is SN11 landing with 2 Raptors? So that's what we think. So, Elon's kind of talked about this. They're continually tweaking their landing profile, trying to match the difference between reliability, redundancy, and, of course, engine throttling options, because you can have too many Raptors running, and then at that point you literally have to commit to what's known as a suicide burn or a hover slam, which is where you're landing with a thrust to weight ratio higher than 1, and you don't have the option of going below. So if you say they scrub off too much velocity and are starting to come down, and they were running on, say, 3 Raptor engines, even at minimum throttle setting of about 40%, all 3 Raptors will actually still produce a little bit too much thrust to hover. And hovering, you don't need to hover to land. The Falcon 9 does not hover to land. It never goes below a 1-to-1 thrust to weight ratio. It can't. So it's not like it's impossible. But it does mean that you cannot maintain your velocity or get into any kind of hover if your thrust to weight ratio is below. It can't go below 1-to-1. So it sounds like the optimal thing is to do a 3-engine flip and maneuver like we saw with SN10. We saw them light 3 Raptors. It was beautiful. It was awesome. And then they shut down 2 and went to a single engine landing burn, kind of more akin to, say, SN5 or SN6, where lands, because it was a little bit higher than what SN5 and 6 have done. So that last little bit, once they scrub out that velocity and are coming down on its tail, it's very much like 5 and 6, landing on 1 engine. But I think they realized, especially if it does underperform, like what SN10 did, because it began ingesting a little bit of helium from the header tanks, they might as well run 2 and have to, if they need to, shut 1 down at the very last second. So I think they're going to be seeing 3 engines do the flip and then shut down just 1 engine and try to land on 2. So we will see. Great question. From Caesar, hey Tim, what exactly will be the changes on SN15 and following 3mm steel landing legs? Will there be a big pause and test between 11 and 15? Honestly, I would expect some kind of pause, a little bit of a pause between 11 and 15. So don't be too surprised if we do see that. But because 15 definitely still has some work to do. As you guys know, they're working very hard on the booster on the first. It's literally just a, it's a test booster. It's not going to fly. It's literally they're just going to roll it out, kind of pressure test it, make sure their operations are ready for boosters. So that's all that booster number 1 is going to be doing. Meanwhile, they still have a lot of work to do to integrate and get ready for SN15. So I would expect there to be maybe almost a 2-month gap, maybe 6 weeks to 2 months between 11 and 15, depending on when this thing finally gets off the pad. But as far as the changes on SN15, so it is jumping. It is going from SN11 to SN15. So keep that in mind, that if you hear us talking about SN15, it's because they are jumping from 11 to 15. They scrapped, 15 is having some changes, some upgrades. So they did scrap some of the things that were already outdated as they were kind of building 12, 13, and 14. So those are off the table. No big deal. As far as that, though, we don't know. It's supposed to be built with the 3mm steel, but we haven't actually seen that yet for sure, because they haven't even finished testing 7.2. So it might have 3mm steel, but we're not sure. And the landing legs, I hope that they have an upgrade, and I'm sure Elon does too. You can see in our camera here a little bit wider version. There's Starhopper off on the left. That gives you a sense of just how foggy it is out here today. It is really foggy, which again is not great if you're trying to fly a rocket. So yeah. Michael Smith, this is a fantastic question. When are you going to post some other videos other than live launches? So I want to explain this to you guys just so you kind of know my thoughts behind this. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is a once-in-a-millennia opportunity to be able to cover a test flight program of the world's most powerful and the most advanced rocket engine or rocket ever built. Think about if if people were, let's say you were a writer for a newspaper during the Apollo program, and you had the option to go get a studio right next to the launch pad and actually cover every single second of the Apollo program, or you could kind of go back to your normal writings at home. I think everyone would agree that in the long run, it would be a lot more important to be able to cover those events, because that is history. I'm trying to prepare something here down in South Texas with Mars Studio B. We are building, when I say a legit studio, this is like quite literally, we're aiming for SpaceX quality. We're not aiming for good YouTube quality. We're aiming for quite literal, like, broadcast quality stuff. So we're using a lot of the same stuff SpaceX uses on their live streams. So that is our goal. That is our bar, is way up there. It's to keep up with SpaceX, which obviously they'll always have some better views, but we're getting there with some of our stuff, and obviously with some of our tracking cameras and all that stuff. So we are trying really hard to that is our bar, and we're basically there. You know, I really think that we'll be after this, we just have a few more things to tidy up, a few more housekeeping things. We have a hole to punch in a wall so we can put an I/O panel on the outside of the building. And then our studio is going to be pretty much done. And once it's set up, literally it'll be like 1 hour prep time each launch and go live. That is the goal. Andrew's shaking his head no. I think once we have a well-oiled machine, he's still shaking his head no. We're going to do it. Just like when Elon says, we're going to have a 24-hour turnaround time. That's always a little bit aspirational. But I think, of course, like the remotes will always take longer than that. But I think in the studio here, hey, I was ready in like 15 minutes today. So I'll call it a win. Anyway, so yes, the point is we're doing a lot of back-end work, like quite literally all-day work for the past 2 months, basically, to get this to be a turnkey, ready-to-go solution for these events. That means I'll actually have some free time to get back to the videos that I want to make. I want to make these scripted videos. I have shot twice now a video about the belly flop to tail down landing maneuver. That's what I want to do. I want to be doing that, but I also do not want to miss out on this opportunity, because this road and this access to Starship will not always be open, in my opinion. I think in a year or 2 or 3 years down the road, we will not have this kind of access. This is very unusual. This does not happen anywhere else. This has never happened anywhere else. That's why it's so exciting. That's why there's so much hype behind this, is because we have this kind of access, and the community can sit here and be so engaged with a test flight program, with a quite literal prototype rockets. And yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So I am kind of going all in on it for now. And once this is a machine that we're building, the machine that builds the machine, so to speak. So once this is all done and smooth running and all that stuff, then guess what? The great thing is I can get back to the videos that I love to make and that I think you guys love to watch. I know that that's why a lot of you subscribe to my channel, was to watch those in-depth videos and learn. And that's what I'm going to be getting back to after this thing launches. I will definitely dedicate a lot of time and effort to be able to finish up that video, because it is mostly done. So, all right. Welcome, Starman. Starman's became a member. There you go. Be like Starman. Consider becoming a member. Unfortunately, speaking of members, we normally have a Patreon/YouTube member stream. Or not normally. This is new as of like literally now that we have this new gear. We are working on some streaming solutions so that now that we have some new gear, we can actually send out a separate clean feed from our switcher. That is just 4 cameras ready to go. No big deal. And unfortunately, that is down today. Of course, of all things to fail, our live view is not working this morning. So once that's fixed, that'll be fixed for the next launch for sure, or the next launch attempt, hopefully. And then patrons, yes, you guys will of course have access to that as well. So if you want just a clean feed with 4 cameras going live, just kind of in a grid. Andrew, can you punch up a quick preview of that so people can kind of see what it will look like? Obviously, ignore the bars for now, but yep, that's one of our feeds right now. So that's what we had that up the other day for patrons. We just put that on early, like as soon as we kind of have these cameras going, we put that up online as a thank you for their support, for making all of this stuff physically possible. All of this equipment, time, and energy is only doable because of Patreon and YouTube members, and of course your generous donations as well. So if you guys want to have access to this in the future, consider becoming a Patreon supporter by going to patreon.com/everydayastronaut or hit the join button and become a member. We'll be posting links to those to that clean feed like that. It will not have my audio. It will just have clean audio. Mileage may vary. Jared, I'm with you. Let it fly. Yeah, baby. All right, this is a good question from Shugandi. Says, what they use to gimbal the engine, pneumatic, cylinder, or hydraulic? So it is they use the hydraulic fluid, and actually I don't know exactly the status. Eventually they want to be using like an electro-hydraulic actuator to be able to steer the engine. So there's basically on Raptor engine and Merlin, you know, you have the gimbal mount. You actually have this hinged mount at basically on top of the combustion chamber where it mounts to the rocket, and that can swivel 360 degrees. But in order to control 360 degrees on just a 2D axis, you know, you're only worried about X and Y. You're not worried about Z. Well, actually, technically on a rocket, I think. It's weird. Rockets actually follow aircraft, so it's not like you might think. In order to control on an axis like that, 360 degrees, you actually only need 2 points, 90 degrees from each other. So you can have two gimbals or two actuators that can steer the entire rocket just by shortening and lengthening their rods. So they do that. And previously, like for instance, the Falcon 9 actually uses RP1, uses its rocket fuel as hydraulic fluid. So for a little while, like Starhopper actually used the Falcon 9's hydraulic system. It literally used the pumps and the RP1. So Hopper actually had RP1 on board, which is hilarious because it runs on a completely different fuel. It runs, of course, on methalox, so liquid methane. So knowing that it had a totally different system on board, that was quite literally, it was. I don't know. I just think that's crazy. It's just a totally separate fuel just to be able to run the hydraulics. So, so they do. These are hydraulic, but I don't know actually the current state of Raptors. That is kind of internal right now. That is something that I would like to talk to Elon about, though, next time we get to sit down with him. Godzilla, has SN11 still helium pressurized header tanks, or do they switch back to autogenous pressurization? This is a great question, Godzilla. For those of you wondering here, let me pull up a little thing on my screen here in a second. I'll show you guys kind of what we're talking about for those of you unfamiliar. I want to make sure that we're always explaining things, no matter your status, no matter if you're an expert on this stuff or not. We want to make sure we're explaining things in that way too. Can you pull this up here for me, Andrew, the header tank image? So this is basically what we're talking about here. So the Starship, of course, has main tanks like most rockets. You have your fuel in your oxidizer tank, your two propellants. So this, in the case of Starship, it has liquid oxygen or LOX and liquid methane or liquid methane, and then the two you can call methalox. And what it has unique though is Starship has header tanks in it. You may have heard us talk about header tanks a lot. That's because so far the header tanks have been the issue for two of the three landing attempts so far. And what they are, they're basically reserve propellant tanks, so that when they're doing that belly flop to tail down landing maneuver, you have tanks that are mostly full. We're not going to say full because they aren't quite full, but they're mostly full as the vehicle is falling. And then that means when they light the engines, there's enough fuel on board to not suck up air bubbles, or gas bubbles, because that can make the engine underperform, or worse, it can make the engine explode. So these header tanks are eventually all tanks and everything on here. There will be virtually no helium, or maybe someday zero helium on board the rocket. We will see if that ever ends up being the case. But the way that you backfill the tanks then is by using autogenous pressurization. That's where you let a little bit of tapped off gaseous methane and tapped off gaseous oxygen from the engines repressurize the tanks, or continue to back pressurize the tanks, backfill them as they drain the liquid. So obviously if you have a sealed container and you have a liquid in it, as you drain the liquid out, you can't, as you drain the liquid out, you have to backfill it. Otherwise you'll have a cavity there and you'll like completely destroy the tanks. So they have to backfill it. And in order to do that, most rockets use helium. And helium is an inert gas. You can compress it a lot into those COPVs, those composite overwrap pressure vessels that you may see kind of at the base here, or or inside the tanks as well. So yeah, as far as the autogenous pressurization, though, eventually the entire rocket will hopefully use autogenous pressurization. But now a quick fix for SN9 and 10 was to go back to helium in the header tanks. Now, the problem with that is on 10, due to some of the baffling systems, it ended up ingesting, like quite literally the baffles made it so it could suck up air bubbles and or gas bubbles and make the engines underperform. So hopefully they fixed that, or they found some kind of solution to fix that. But we don't really know what we're pretty sure they still are using helium, but we're not positive on whether or not, on whether or not it actually is fixed or corrected, right? So good question, Godzilla. This is from Thomas Wolford. Just looks like some fog should clear before launch, and not sure the fog would violate, but the winds might. Also, good morning. Love you, Tim. Well, thank you very much, Thomas. I think spicy Siri. Excuse me. As far as fog, I'm pretty sure they do actually need clear line of sight, though, for the FAA for these test flights. Normal rockets could launch with some hindering visibility at times, but for a vehicle like this and a test flight program, I'm guessing the FAA is going to want complete visibility of the vehicle. So we'll see. So far, 8, 9, and 10 have all been clean enough days to be able to see it all the way from launch to apogee and back down. But we will see. All right. We have a new member from Zotri. Thank you so much. This is from Vineet. When will the booster be attached to Starship? Because, of course, remember what we are almost seeing this morning. What we're talking about seeing this morning is Starship, just the upper stage of Starship. Someday it will be attached to a super heavy booster. Well, Elon Musk mentioned that they're aiming for July 1st to be able to do the first orbital mission. Now, notice that I said orbital mission, which infers that they will be using the super heavy booster. It's not absolutely required per se. Starship could physically eke itself into orbit if it had zero payload, and if it didn't have, say, things like landing legs or maybe flaps or anything to recover hardware and come back down for reentry. It probably could yeet itself into orbit ever so carefully. But in order to actually fly to orbit, they will need to attach it to super heavy booster. So there's going to be, we believe there's going to be 3. It'll be BN3. Booster number 3 will be the first one to carry it to orbit. And Elon's saying July 1st. So we'll have to see. But around here we don't talk in dates for Starship. We talk in milestones because talking about dates moves constantly. So the dates change all the time. There is really, honestly, there's very little point in talking about a date, even like today. Like, when's it going to fly? We have no idea. It might not fly today. I mean, we know that they're trying for 8, but weather might not cooperate with that because, again, that is only an hour and 40 minutes away from right now. So when will the booster be attached to Starship? After we see, we'll have to see BN1 roll out. That's booster number 1. We'll have to see that roll out. We'll have to see SN15 fly and hopefully prove out a few new systems for them. We'll likely have to see some of the other boosters, the other Starship SNs fly, likely Starship SN20. It might not even be until we see 20 or 21 that we see them even try remotely anything orbital, even close. And then we also have to see BN2, which will likely be a short little hop. So we'll see. We'll see if that actually makes a difference as far as the timing goes, all these other things. And if they can actually hold that July 1st date, I'm not so sure, personally. I've been around here long enough to know that things don't go according to plan and that things just take longer because of, external environments and external variables such as the weather that currently Elon cannot control. So, we will see. So as early as July 1st. Well, no earlier than July 1st. This is from Not Dan Gaffa. Hey, Tim, love your streams. Would Starship turn rainbowy after reentry like some stainless steel does after being heated? It might. It very well might. It might get that, well, especially, titanium really gets that nice rainbow look. Stainless steel doesn't tend to get as much of that rainbow treatment, I don't think. If there's any welders in the chat, you will know more than me. But titanium is definitely one that gets that beautiful rainbow glow. I remember always wanting titanium headers on motorcycles because of that like rainbow sheen that it gets after they get warm. But it might, when it comes back in from orbit, there might be spots that are like bright rainbow, and that would be awesome. A shiny, bright rainbow. Let me know if you are a welder or somebody that knows what you're talking about as far as the colorization of different metals, will Starship turn rainbow? Well, so far, just to keep it in context, I haven't seen any rainbowness of anything, Starhopper included. And that gets quite heated up, obviously. And a lot of the parts, the base of other Starship prototypes and stuff, I haven't seen anything. Oh, is that cars leaving?
Yes, it is.
That's good news. We're seeing a good amount of cars leaving right now. That's awesome. All right. People asking, is it still dark in Texas? You are seeing a shot of Texas right now. So, yes, it is. It is dark. It is. The sun has not come up yet. The sun does not come up for another hour. So hopefully the sun helps clear up the fog. But it is before sunrise right now. And again, remember, those of you watching, I am sitting here. I am at the edge of the exclusion zone. Our studio, Andrew, pop up the studio shot here quick. We are at the edge of the Hi, guys. We are completely at the edge right here. We are 5 miles, so 8 kilometers away from today's test flight and from all Starship stuff. That is where the studio is. And so we can feel it and hear it. That's the point of Mars Studio B here. Is to be able to actually provide the closest experience so that you guys can feel like you're right here with us. We'll take you outside, right? But T-minus 15 minutes or so, out on the viewing platform we have, and then we'll be able to bring you guys here with us, and you can hear and feel the experience. But yeah, so that's we can see some stuff happening. What is that? Hopefully they're not doing stuff. Well, we have our people down there. It looks like they're just probably starting to spit, maybe get some stuff going. You might hear some pings and creaks and stuff. I am excited because we have, so this is funny. We have a lot nicer mics than a SM58 in the world, but we are working on getting, we're currently having problems with some of our audio, but one of the mics that we're excited to try out, speaking of, like, what is that mic from? The what was that? Right now, I just hear a bunch of like rumble or something. That's that. Oh, well, that is pad audio. Cool. So yeah, and some Velcro and cleaning of the lenses. Oh, that made a huge difference actually. I like this shot. This is the good stuff here. This is why we watch. But eventually, I'm actually excited. We're going to be having an SM58, a classic vocal mic, because it has a high SPL. It can handle high, really, really, really high pressure. And it might be able to pick up a surprising amount of the rocket's engine exhaust sound from this close. I'm nervous that almost any other mic, like some of our shotguns, that we have a lot more expensive mics and condenser mics and stuff. They could get like quite literally fried. It could destroy diaphragms this close with a rocket. So we're betting on a 58 being a decent choice up close like this. We will see. Hold on, I'm gonna kind of turn this down here quick for myself. So yeah, that will eventually be a thing. We're still working on a few tweaks, and we will also have alternate views for you guys here in the future as well. So, all right. This is from Karadef. How's it going, Karadef? Weather causes bad traffic, and FAA agent won't be able to get there on time. Hopefully, the FAA agent got in yesterday. So that was a point of contention yesterday, unfortunately. Yesterday's attempt was scrubbed because the FAA could not get their agent on time. And apparently, SpaceX may not have given them enough time to get here. There are only about 2 valid flights into Brownsville each day. So it is true that if you don't, like, you can't get here in the morning. You just simply, no matter where you're coming from, I feel like you can't get to Boca Chica in the morning if you're flying. What's the earliest? It seems like like 5 o'clock. You might be able to land at like 2 p.m. If you have the right connecting flight and you're not having to make multiple connections, which tends to not be the case. But so there's a chance that the FAA person couldn't even get here before 2 or 5 p.m. So. Yeah, and that'd be coming only straight from Houston or Dallas. So, yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully the agent got there last night, though, and yeah. So Liam says, hey, Tim, have you moved into Boca Chica permanently? Well, I have not been home in 2021 yet. I'm probably going to hopefully go home soon for a little bit. But home is where the heart is. Luckily, now I do have a place to sleep with Mars Studio B. But, you know, I don't know. I don't want to live here. But at this point, I pretty much am. But one of the big reasons why I built the studio was so I can go back to shooting videos here as well. So that I can get back to the scripted videos. So it doesn't matter if I'm home or down here. It's kind of the tomato. This way, once things are all set up and everything, yeah. And just a reminder here, guys, what you're seeing on screen is like that's what this looks like. Again, our cameras are only about 500 feet away, so about 150 meters. They are really, really close. So it's just that foggy. You cannot. Unless you're SpaceX and have a camera literally like underneath the rocket, you're not seeing the rocket this morning. I would love to show you our balcony cameras, but that's hilarious because there's quite literally nothing. Yeah, punch. This is wow. And that's not even pointing, by the way. I don't even have that camera pointed anywhere near Starship. That's just how foggy it is, like looking out. So, yeah. Whoops. All right, so this is from Man M. We talked about this a second ago. Have they changed anything with the header tanks, or are they still running helium? So as far as we know, they are just running helium. They have not gone back to autogenous pressurization like they had with SN8. I hope they get back to it because autogenous pressurization is awesome. Because unfortunately, helium's stupid expensive. Helium is like the most expensive thing on the rocket, basically. So going back to autogenous pressurization would be fantastic. And again, if you missed, autogenous pressurization is where they will take gaseous methane to backfill the methane tanks, and then gaseous oxygen to backfill the oxygen tanks. And that's, you just kind of use a tap off from the engines. The engine, obviously, as it heats up, will be able to turn liquid methane into gaseous methane in a hurry. And so you can backfill the tanks as you're draining the liquid. It's a sealed pressure vessel, so as you're draining the liquid, you need to backfill it with a gas, with either helium, which is inert, or with gaseous versions of your propellant. So we think they are still using methane. This is from Adrian. Have been stuck abroad since the start of the pandemic. Watching your live streams together with my friends has been our way of keeping in touch regularly. That is so awesome, Ariane. I really, really like hearing that. Hello to you and your friends. Thank you for tuning in. Again, that's what I love about spaceflight. The last 365 days for pretty much quite literally every human around the world was challenging for us. Emotionally, mentally, just physically draining, physically hard with people that got sick. But the cool thing is that spaceflight is uniting. Spaceflight is bonding. And I love that. I love that people can come together and celebrate and cheer for something kind of bigger than all of us, like quite literally bigger than all of us. I just think that is awesome. So, yeah, I'm glad that for those of you around the world, I want to just drop a quick comment. I want to see, or a flag, if you can find your flag, or I guess normally when you type it out, like in, on a computer or on your phone, it should auto-populate a flag. I want to see your flags. Where are our viewers watching from this morning? That would be awesome. I want to see it. So, all right. From Onhiba. So it seems to me that the biggest issue facing Starship is the reliability of the Raptors. So far, it is not great. What are your thoughts on this? That's a really good question. So don't forget, we need to keep this in perspective. Currently, as you guys know, Starship and the Raptor engine is in its absolute prototype phase. They're still in development. They are still developing and changing the Raptor engine. It is just in its infancy. It's SpaceX, so they're going to fly it before it's totally ready, which, obviously they won't do for a customer, but for themselves, that's great. It gives them data. It gives them a starting point. Now, we weren't around like this for the beginning, the early days with the Merlin engine. So we don't actually have any sense of how unreliable the Merlin engine was at the beginning of its lifespan. So, of course, it's easy to sit here and be like, the Raptor's not very reliable. It can barely last the 6 minutes. Well, we just don't have another data point. None of us knew how many Merlins they built before they could get one to just not blow up every launch. And, of course, they lost a Merlin on one of the early flights. It was not the reliable beast that we know it is today. So if you think about it, the cool thing here about about the Raptor engine is we are watching it, and we kind of have some insight with the serial numbers. We know they're, you know, flying around 50 SN, you know, or Raptor number 50 or so, and you know, or maybe beyond that now. Who they keep swapping engines, I can't even keep track of them anymore. But the point of this everything is to say we don't know how reliable Raptor really is going to be in the long run. It is still in its infancy, and what we're seeing today is not going to reflect the long-term reliability of it. They are still figuring it out. We just happen to see them flying and testing, knowing that it's not a flight-ready vehicle, or knowing that it's not like a certified, bona fide, you know, ready to go. Here's your customer, get on our rocket because we're ready to go engine. It's just not to that point yet, and they're flying it because they want to learn from it. So I think that is awesome. So we will see how Raptors play out long term. Obviously, I really expect that by about a year from now, we will just not be seeing these startup teething issues that we're seeing. A similar thing happened actually when SpaceX switched from regular RP1 and regular LOX or liquid oxygen to super chilled LOX and super chilled RP1, where they chilled it down much closer to its freezing point. And they did that in order to densify the propellant and in order to increase performance. And when they were doing that at first, holy cow, the first couple launches, like the one for OG2, had some scrubs for the static fire and stuff like that. But I remember, I think it was SES 8 or 9, scrubbed, I believe, 4 times just because of, it couldn't get off the ground just because of these super chilled propellants. They had to reset 4 times because of the super chilled propellants. So people at the time were doing that same thing where they're like, you know, this can't be reliable. You know, you're not going to, you know, Tori Bruno, we're going to talk about this actually in the upcoming video about the belly flop maneuver. But Tori Bruno even tweeted saying, yeah, we played around with super chilled propellants. It's not worth it. It's too temperamental, basically. And here we are. We see them flying the Falcon 9 more regularly and without problems than anybody else. They figured out how to do that. I think it's going to be the same thing with the Raptor. They're going to figure out the Raptor engine and make it reliable, and it just really won't be a big deal. So it looks like, is this the police probably getting ready to clear the road already? Wow.
Yep. 6:30.
All right. Hopefully our team's ready. Wow. Crazy, guys. They are closing the road. So yeah. So again, Oniba, that is a great question. I think Raptor reliability will go up drastically as they get more flight time with it. So very good question. Mark says, maybe a dumb question. Mark, there are no dumb questions. This is a great, is maybe a dumb question, but does fog really hinder launch? I mean, it's not like they are navigating by visuals, right? So again, we kind of touched on this a little bit. Specifically, I think when these are test flights like this, when they are more dangerous, there's a lot more unknowns. The FAA is not quite as comfortable with this vehicle yet because it is just a prototype, and they are launching them you know, differently than they would launch a normal rocket. I think the line of sight and the visibility does matter a lot more for tracking assets. So I think that they actually it does matter. I think the visibility does matter because, again, yeah, the vehicle does not navigate by like looking around. It uses GPS, it uses IMUs, so inertial measurement units, and accelerometers. It uses, you know, radar and things like that when it's coming in for the landing. So it could fly completely blind. You know, the rocket could fly completely blind. But just, I think for safety and with the public safety and with, you know, South Padre Island only 5 miles or 8 kilometers away from what's essentially a giant bomb with a nozzle on it, I think they really, the FAA and I think SpaceX would also just, they want visuals on it to make sure it's okay. So, let's see here. So this is from Chris. I want to let you guys know too, we have an awesome team of moderators that do a really good job of helping to keep everything going smoothly. So say thank you to the mods because, you know, YouTube can get sometimes kind of messy and things like that. So if everyone say thank you to the mods, but what's cool is the mods are able to grab your questions as well. So, you know, we are not just taking super chats. We're putting up your regular chats. You know, that last one from Mark was just a normal chat. So if you're asking good questions, our mods might catch it and they'll throw it in the queue here, and I can throw it up on screen. So we're not, it's not like a pay to play around here. I would like to thank the people that are graciously donating to to help us keep doing this. Of course, that helps a lot, and thank you so much to anyone that is a super chatter or a member or a Patreon supporter. It means the world to me. It has made all of this possible. So thank you. But I just want to let you know that we are catching other questions as well. So if you have a good question, if it's in the chat, we'll be working on putting it up. So this is, for instance, like this. Adrian Bishop, if SN11 is a success, this will make the ESA nearly obsolete, so European Space Agency. Will this mean that Skylon will have a chance of funding, as it is the only hope of ESA has a reusable spaceplane? So you're jumping a few guns. I see your conclusion that you're drawing, but I would not say if SN11 is a success. I would say when Starship, or if you could put a little if, but frankly I think we can say when Starship is operational and flying regularly, and if it is fully and rapidly reusable, as SpaceX intends for it, it will be absolutely game changing. It will completely disrupt the entire industry. It will change the game completely. So the people, if you want to keep up with SpaceX, you will have to become price competitive. If a customer has the option of launching a satellite for, let's say, $10,000 versus $1 million, well, what option is there, right? That obviously that'd be 2 orders of magnitude, but that is the type of disruption that we're potentially talking about here, because Starship can. The goal of Starship is to be able to take about 100 tons. It might be capable of more like 150 tons, but we'll say 100 tons for easy math. And Elon thinks they can launch it for like $1 million. I'm going to go ahead and say $10 million. But you do the math and you realize the dollar per kilogram on that is stupid cheap. Stupid cheap. Currently you're paying, 50 million plus even for a Falcon 9, which can launch 20 tons. So, we're talking about a major disruptor. So if ESA and the European, if Ariane Space, if other rocket companies want to compete, they're going to have to step up their game if this works out as planned. So I wouldn't say if SN11 is a success. I think that'll be another call sign, another moment of like, oh crap, we have to be working on stepping up our game. But I don't think that's going to be like the end all be all. I don't think that's going to be like, well, now they're ready to make money off this thing yet. There's a lot more. This is like page 3 of a 600-page book about how to get Starship working and into orbit and operational. The landing is important. That's what these SNs are, that's what they're prototyping, and that's what they're practicing right now, are just simply the landing. But there's a lot more to this program to really make it work. So, all right. So this is from Chris K. Sleep deprivation. Yeah, it's always worth it when it happens. So are SpaceX still going with this idea of catching this thing? What's wrong with what they're doing now? Sorry if it's a common question. Actually, Chris, that one has not been asked yet today, so that's a great question. So, of course, famously, Elon has been mentioning on Twitter a couple things, like they want to get rid of the landing legs on the Super Heavy booster, but they also are talking about getting rid of the landing legs on Starship. And frankly, getting rid of the landing legs on Starship makes a lot more sense than the booster. Not only because it's smaller and probably a little bit lighter weight. Maybe we don't actually know the dry masses. The booster doesn't have all the other hardware, so the booster, 20 meters taller. So the booster is going to be about 70 meters tall. Common diameter, though, it doesn't taper up. They might be about the same weight. I'm not sure the total dry mass, but let's imagine that they are the same dry mass. You actually take a lot bigger payload penalty by having dead weight on the upper stage versus dead weight on the first stage. So everything you put on the upper stage is actually slightly worse than a 1-to-1 ratio. So it's because the vehicle has to re-enter and land and save some extra propellant. That means if you put a kilogram of landing structure, well, let's say 1,000 kilograms of some kind of landing hardware, right? Obviously, there'd be a lot more than that on Starship. But let's say it's 1,000. You would have to take off more than 1,000 to your payload capability. So maybe something like 1,050 kilograms would have to be taken away from the payload capacity. And of course, that's your performance. That's your performance margin. So, but it's not the same with the booster. The booster, if you add 1,000 kilograms, you only get about a 1-to-4, maybe even a 1-to-5 ratio for that. So 1,000 kilograms, you might only reduce your payload capability to orbit by about only 200 kilograms or 250 kilograms, a quarter or 1/5. So it actually makes a lot more sense to keep landing legs on the booster Let the booster land more like a Falcon 9 with landing legs, and then catch Starship, because it matters more on Starship, and it's smaller and maybe even lighter than the booster. So we will see. We will see if they do catch this thing. But as far as what's wrong with what they're doing now, right now they're using very temporary, very shoddy legs. On the record, these legs suck. Just everyone put it in your head right now. The landing legs on this rocket suck. They might collapse. They might land this rocket. It might sit there for a second, kind of like I called SN10, by the way. I literally, ahead of the stream, if you rewatch it, I was sitting there going, these landing legs suck. Don't panic if it lands and then it tips over, because it's not a big deal. And I absolutely hold that mantra today. If this thing launches today and if it lands and it's vertical, that is a win. That is data. That is something they can, that is something they can learn from. Now, if it lands and safes itself and they actually recover it in one piece, that's still absolutely awesome. If it doesn't, it would even be a win if they totally safed it. They drained it of the propellant, and then it just fell over and it was still there in one piece. It didn't explode, but it just tipped over. That would be a huge win. Actually, that'd be great. There'd be nothing wrong with that, because we know the landing legs suck. We know the landing legs are a temporary solution. So, yeah. All right, this is from D. Bunya. David here. Thanks for being there and helping us to understand all the technical issues on this great adventure. You're absolutely welcome, D. Bunya. It is my pleasure. Again, this is all thank you to you guys and all of you tuning in right now for helping make this possible. If you weren't here, if you weren't watching, if you weren't commenting and sharing and tweeting and doing all the things that you guys do, I wouldn't be here. It wouldn't be, I probably, actually, I would probably still be here. I would be filming this stuff. I can't help it. I'm drawn to this. I want to be here. I want to be witnessing this history. I really can't help it. Like it's just kind of an innate part of me. But you guys are making it possible that I can share it with this level of detail and with this amount of quality with you guys. I mean, even just look at the tree right now. Like look at the actual detail of the tree. Things how it's moving. It's actually in 30 frames a second. You can for the most part, it's pretty darn good. That's about as good of a view and as low of latency as you can get, honestly. So, yeah. So thank you guys for helping me share in this great adventure. It really, really means the world to me. This is from Nate Gaming. As someone that lives about 5 hours away, is there anywhere that civilians can watch the launches? Oh, of course. That is the beauty of this. I'm on public property. Like I am where literally anyone can be pretty much. One of the best places for those of you watching, if you want to, let me see, don't pull my screen up here yet, Andrew, but let me see here. All right. So, let me show you guys South Padre real quick. All right, so this is South Padre Island here, and down here is Isla Blanca Park. This whole area is only about 5 miles away, so that's basically the edge of the exclusion zone. So if you want a really good place to watch, go to South Padre Island, go to Isla Blanca Park, and watch from there. It is a fantastic view. Of course, some of the hotels along the island, like the Pearl, which is where we had previously done some stuff, but there's also a hotel here that there's like a Holiday Inn and some others with a view on South Padre. So yeah, South Padre is honestly the place to go. Yeah. So if you guys are wanting to know, yeah, do that. Go to South Padre Island. Basically, that is the best place. So anyone can watch. That's the beauty about this. It's only 5 miles. Do not go out to Boca Chica though. That's another key here. Hold on. Let me pull up. I realized that. Hang on. 1 second here. Let me try and... Okay, here we go. I'm going to go into a... This will be better here. Okay, so if you are wanting to see one of these launches, don't go out here on Highway 4 or Boca Chica Boulevard, because you will actually get stopped way down here by the airport. This is a good 20 minutes away right here. This is the kind of the soft checkpoint. So you'd think, oh, I can drive way out here and only be 5 miles away because the exclusion zone is like right here. Well, you're going to get stopped way back here like 15 miles away or 25 kilometers away. You don't want to do that. You want to be somewhere where you can see it on launch day. So so this whole entire peninsula, basically, because it is waterlocked between the Rio Grande and then this is the port canal here. You don't want to be completely stuck coming out here, right? You don't want to be trying to go up, go down that way and then be further away with no view. So the best place to go is out here to South Padre Island. I just wanted to show you a better perspective of this. There might be a few options on Port Isabel, but not really. I think for the most part, quite frankly, the only decent view is on South Padre. So if you are, especially post-pandemic world, you're looking to get your travel bug, if you're international, looking for an exciting place to fly to, come down here. And the cool thing about Starship is when it's not launch day, when there's not road closures, go on Twitter, follow Boca Chica road closures. If the road isn't closed, you can drive right up to the rocket. See where our camera is. You can quite literally drive right up to it. So it is awesome. And you can pull over, you can get your pictures. You've seen, my footage from there. That's just public property. You don't have to have special permission. The beach is public property there. So you can drive right up to it. So if it's this summer, once things are safe and, if vaccinations and if if your country allows you to travel, depending on the state of the pandemic, get your butts out here while you can, because it will be, I don't know how long this will be available to the public. So yeah, you get there by car. So I would love to, guys, I would absolutely love to do the some of our stuff, like the pointy end up, flaming end down check. But we don't even have a visual from 150 meters away. We literally don't even, I can't even see anything yet. But the personnel are clear of the pad. Can we do just personnel clear of the pad and skip it? No. We can't. Well, we were at the pad yesterday. So unless they flipped it during the night, I can actually confirm, based on data yesterday. Now, this is a day old, that the pointy end is up and the flaming end is down. So, lucky pointy end up, flaming end down check. Maybe this is a good sign. Maybe this is a new a new mantra or something, a new way of doing this. We'll do it when we can't see the rocket and use previous knowledge. But the other thing is that personnel are clear of the pad. So we definitely want to actually queue that baby up. So we're getting into, they're trying. Again, Elon said he wanted to have this thing flying at 8 a.m., which again would be an hour and 10 minutes from now. That's crazy and scary. I don't know. I don't believe it, but we're quite a ways away still from sunrise. We got another 30 minutes before sunrise. Hopefully it gets a little bit brighter. Poop, we did just lose audio, our pad audio. We'll see if that, there we go. All right. Hopefully that might happen from time to time, but we will see. All right, this is from Robert Singer. I think it's absolutely awesome that this community exists. I love rocket launches and also your dedication. Thanks to you and your team. Well, thank you for tuning in, Robert. It really means a lot to me. We are, we're trying our hardest around here, and I'm putting quite literally everything I have into this because I think it's important. I think this is history. We are early investors in watching the history books be written before our very eyes. So if you are watching from around the world, I know there's a lot of people that are extremely dedicated to watching this program, and there's a lot of awesome people covering this as well. It really means the world to all of us that there are so many people out there tuning into this stuff and wanting to watch along. So you guys make it possible again. So I know I've mentioned this already, but again, if you're a Patreon supporter or a member, or you've done a super chat, or you've purchased merch, that all makes this possible. So thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Including some quick member shout outs like Thomas Wolford, Jack Mack, Tool Iraq, Slang Wolf, and Dew Point. Thank you guys for your membership. And thank you very much, Ryan Tierney. Your live coverage has been a highlight of last year. Appreciate it. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. Yeah, we love it. We love doing this. This is just, it's just fun, and it's exciting, and it's inspirational. Marcus, Mars Studio looks amazing. I am hopeful for today. I don't know. I don't know if I'm honestly that hopeful yet, to be perfectly honest. It sucks. I wish I was more hopeful. I wish that I felt like it was for sure going to launch today, but just with the weather and the fact that we still can't even see the rocket, I'm just not quite there yet. Yeah. Bert says, you're crazy for getting up this early. Thanks from Germany. You're welcome. It's not the getting up so early. It's the fact that we went to bed so late. And this has kind of been on repeat for the past, like, I feel like month. It's pretty much been on repeat of go to bed late, wake up early, and vice versa. Yeah, I don't know. Vanu, thank you so much. We're going to get to a question here. This is from Osk Naff. Says, Tim, Virgin Galactic is going to have an announcement in 23 minutes. Maybe you could watch that before Starship launch. We could maybe do that, but it's something that I'd probably rather just watch. I want to be able to pay attention to it and make sure we're tuned into all the creaks and bells and whistles, because that actually might, that might kind of hinder what we're watching here. So I think we're going to keep Starship pulled up. You guys can obviously watch that announcement as well. I'm excited for that. I don't know what it's going to be. I hope it has something to do with flying people. We will see. All right. So this is from YMF the Gang. Tim, where did you get your rocket models and how much were they? So I have a bunch of different models from different places. Normally from my other studio space, you'll see some Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy models. Those are from Ollie Braun at buzzspacemodels.com. They're expensive because they look really good. They're extremely high detail. So those are definitely kind of the most highly detailed and really impressively 3D printed rockets. The most impressive that I've ever seen. I mean, I know SpaceX even owns some of those model rockets. So yeah, his work is incredible, but they are expensive. I have models from ULA, their own store, models at the ULA store. I have some models from Rocket Lab that they gave me, and same with Blue Origin. Yeah, so kind of all over the place, and then a Lego Saturn V, which I think is awesome. So I'm really excited. There's some new Legos coming out, and I can't wait to get my hands on that new space shuttle set. So yeah. All right, so this is a good question. Chris, when do you new music on stream platforms? I just finally got an email from the engineer that I had some tweaks that I wanted done in January. My engineer has been extremely busy. I'm using now the same engineer that the mix and the producer as Test Shot Starfish. We did a collaboration here recently, but I used the same engineer. He's a busy boy. So unfortunately, I'm waiting on him to finish just my last notes on the master. Once the master is done, I will post it. So we're just waiting, as many of us are familiar with. This is from Janeth. Do you still have your spacesuit? Have you thought about a video wearing it like your old videos? Here's what I'm thinking. I think I'm going to do some kind of big Kerbal challenge when we get to 1 million subscribers. Once we get to 1 million subscribers, I'll do a Kerbal challenge, and if I lose the Kerbal challenge, I think I'll put the spacesuit on, and we'll do some kind of big charity thing. Yeah, we'll have to find a good charity to donate to, something that plays well with YouTube, so that it does the charity thing, which would be awesome. And then I think we'll Discord, and we'll figure out what that challenge should be. Time constraints are something that's hard and fun. Maybe it's like get to Eve and back with a fresh career mode or something in one sitting. Oh God, no, that would be like a 48-hour stream. Man, people are saying my audio is cutting in and out. We're tweaking some stuff. Is it my microphone audio? Is my microphone audio cutting out, or is it?
I'm fixing your delay. You're not in sync.
Oh, Andrew's fixing my lip sync. Lip sync. Lipstick. Stink sync. Lipstick stink sync. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, so he's working on it. He was fixing the sync because, obviously when you have, we have a totally separate audio channel, totally separate video channel. So now we should be much better, and you shouldn't hear any blips or blops. All right, so let's keep going here. This is, have you thought about displaying the signal from the rocket's cameras? Amateurs have been able to do it. I really don't want to try and decode SpaceX's signals on their rockets. Obviously, when it's in orbit, it has to be, it has to be able to be decoded. Otherwise, I think there's some kind of, not necessarily has to be, but there's something about that allows the amateurs to be able to decode that video. I don't want to play that game. I like having a good relationship with SpaceX. I'm not sure how happy they would be if we were taking and decoding and de-encrypting their video feeds. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think that's even an option. But yeah, Vinny, thanks for the membership. Here's a good question from iStorm Productions. Why is the LOX header tank so far from the rest of the fuel, or from the rest of the rocket? I guess would probably be. Let me pull this up here for you guys. The LOX header tank is in the nose, basically as ballast. So that's so as the rocket is falling from the sky, in order to have enough weight to keep, because don't forget the engines on the aft end on the butt of the rocket are very heavy, right? So they are going to want to fall first. A rocket or anything flying through a fluid wants to have the center of mass ahead of the center of lift or center of drag. So if the center of mass is closer to the engine, say it's very near the rear of the vehicle or the bottom of the vehicle, that means it's going to want to fall engines first. So in order to have the rocket fall belly first, there's going to have to be some extra weight up in the nose. Now, eventually there'll be cargo, there'll be other systems up in the nose of the vehicle, and it will help it be able to fall flatter and belly flop without going completely out of control. So yeah, as far as the header tank, why is the LOX header tank all the way up in the nose? It's literally just a ballast to help balance it. In the future, again, we might see that move a bit. We might see it shrink or grow as this vehicle changes and as the weight of the payload bay and stuff. Yeah. All right. So next question here is why does SpaceX not use liquid hydrogen as fuel instead of kerosene? Andrew, do you want to go full screen on our thing again? Why do you want to use liquid hydrogen as fuel instead of kerosene? So the liquid hydrogen seems like on paper it has a lot higher performance. You can get a lot higher specific impulse, so the engine can actually be more efficient potentially with hydrogen. But hydrogen is a major pain in the butt. So obviously, like, just as far as using it in a rocket engine, because it's so sparse, it's such tiny little molecules, it can leak through like metal. Metal can be too porous to contain hydrogen. It's just really hard to work with. You also have to chill it down very, very cold, like almost to absolute zero. It's stupid cold. So in order to actually use it, you're now having to chill it way beyond the temperatures of liquid methane or liquid oxygen. It also requires, because it's so sparse, it requires huge tanks. Right? The tanks have to be just massive, which adds weight. And at the end of the day, it's also really expensive. It's an expensive fuel especially compared to liquid methane. So at the end of the day, basically the moral of the story is it's not really worth it. Yes, it has some advantages on paper, but a lot of rocket companies have just figured out that, you know what, it's not really worth it. It doesn't really help anything. But it works really well in space. If you can keep it from boiling off, it seems to be, really, you look at the RL-10 engine can produce over 450 seconds of specific impulse, compared to, say, the Raptor vacuum optimized engine will be about 380 seconds of specific impulse. So that's a substantial increase in performance. So yeah, that's why SpaceX does not use liquid hydrogen. It's just not really the best as far as practical use. All right, I'm gonna try and I have to admit, guys, we're getting way behind on your chats. So thank you so much for your super chats. Again, I want to not just be sitting here thanking people for their generous donations, so I will just say it now. Thank you. We're going to get to a bunch of questions though, so hopefully you can understand this rocket better. The rocket that you still cannot see, which is just bonkers. You can almost start to see a little bit of a shadow somewhere lurking in there. There is a beast that dwells. But so we're going to answer just a bunch of questions from you guys, not just super chat again. And Discord, of course, I'm always watching you guys. I'm watching you. So I'm going to answer a couple questions. So if I miss, I'm going to have to miss super chats today, but just know it means a lot to me. And I want to apologize if I can't get to yours specifically. This is from Abe Linos, did they change anything on the outside compared to SN10, like how it looks or the flaps or something, or will that come at the next Starship generation? I mean, there's always little tiny minor tweaks that, you know, some of the tank watchers out there might know all of the tiny little exterior tweaks. The biggest thing is the number of heat shield tiles. They're slowly adding more and more of their turf rock heat shield tiles. They're mechanically fastened, so basically a robot goes around and goes boop, 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 and just mounts them with these, these hard mounting points on the belly of the vehicle, and we're just seeing that surface grow as they get more and more comfortable with it. So 8 had some, 9 had a little bit more, 10 had a little bit more, and 11 has a little bit more than that. So they just kind of keep growing how much, and they're attaching them to different points. They even are putting some heat shield tiles on the leeward side, so not the windward side, but on the back of the flaps. And I'm guessing they're doing that. My thought on that is they're probably doing it so they can test how the attachment is, even in the pocket when there's a vacuum. It's actually now that I think about it, it's probably the best way to practice what it would be like to have those tiles in space. I never thought about this, but yeah, you'd have you'd have a negative pressure in the windward side there. So by putting some it can basically have that negative pressure effect, and maybe it maybe that's why. Let's see. This is from Hamza. Says, when BN2 begins its own testing and hopefully a hop, will it use the same legs as Starship? Also, are hops measured from the top or the bottom of the rocket? Hamza, that's a great question. First off, it doesn't matter the top or the bottom. If you measure from the top and you measure the top up to 150 meters of change, like from the top, if it's here, it goes up 150 meters. The bottom also goes up 150 meters. So it doesn't matter where you measure from. It's not like they're measuring the peak altitude, really. They're measuring the change, so it will go up and translate. It will go up 150 meters. So the top will, the bottom will. Lion Trouble, you are being watched. But as far as the landing legs, we don't know anything about the landing legs for BN2 yet. I hope they're beefier and better than the SN8, 9, and 10, and 11, and probably 15. But we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. All right. This is from Frederick. Hey, Tim. Thanks for all the hard work and making sense of all this stuff for us. You probably answered this already, but can you elaborate on what the GSE tanks are for, why they are created, and how they would be used? Yeah, ground service equipment is what GSE stands for. You have to fuel up your rocket. The rocket needs fuel. So the ground tanks basically hold just enough fuel to be able to fuel up the rocket. And one of the things that the GSE needs to do is it needs to chill it down from gaseous to liquid state and chill it down enough to be able to load it up into the rocket. So the ground support not only has methane tanks and oxygen tanks and helium tanks and nitrogen tanks and water tanks and all of these other things that they have to load onto the rocket, but it also has to chill stuff down and pressurize it for initial loading of the vehicle. So the vehicle obviously will be under quite a decent amount of pressure. When it's standing here, I would love to say here and actually have a visual of the rocket. I feel like it's getting worse. The clarity is just really, really bad right now. It is so foggy. It's finally starting to get like almost daylight, but as far as the GSE though, there's a lot of things that they need to do to actually load it up into the rocket. So we'll see. So there's a shot there. You can actually get a sense of what it looks like here for us. It is quite literally nothing, but it is getting more and more daylight-ish. Luckily, the sun shines or rises, I guess, no matter whether or not we can see it. So we will see. Again, we're about sunrise is already in 15 minutes. It does not look like it, but we are. This thing could happen as early as 54 minutes. I will freak. What would happen if they launch in the fog? Maybe they can. I don't know. I will. You guys know me. I'll gladly let you know when I don't know something. I don't know the flight rules and restrictions on when they can and cannot launch and what the visibility criteria is. So I guess, and the problem is we can't even see the rocket enough to know if they're fueling up or anything. So we will see. Oh, this is crazy. What if we didn't have a camera 150 meters away? we still can't see anything, and we would definitely not be able to say anything. Legala says, will they still use hypersonic grid fins for the Super Heavy? Well, great question. I mean, any part of the rocket at some point is going hypersonic. The difference with the grid fins that we saw, they upgraded the grid fins on the Falcon 9. Originally, they were aluminum, and they were just basically a box, or a slightly rounded off box. But all of the slats were basically straight cut. You know, there weren't any serrated edges. Like think of a knife. Like think of like the difference between a butcher's knife that's just straight, or a bread knife that has those serrated edges. The old grid fins were just basically straight. The new grid fins, the titanium grid fins on a Falcon 9, are serrated. And what that does is it actually changes. Now, this is kind of crazy. It slightly changes the local speed of sound. So what that means is the square ones, when they're going between supersonic and hypersonic regimes, as you're going from hypersonic down to supersonic, and again from supersonic down to subsonic, if you have everything changing through that zone at the same time, it can cause a lot of problems and a lack of control. So if they put those serrations in, the speed of sound can vary based on the kind of the depth of the grid fin, and there can be some certain effects. So the grid fin will always have a little bit of bite and a little bit more control during those regimes. But also, more importantly, during hypersonic flight, as you mentioned, it really does require some kind of serration or something like that to really have the kind of control authority that you need. Super Heavy, of course, will be going supersonic, and I assume hypersonic. Actually, that's a good question. But I am guessing that it will have those same serrations. If we're talking about the serrations, then yes, it will likely have those exact same serrated edges. They'll basically be more or less largely scaled up Falcon 9 grid fins. John Dickinson, if BN1 is an operational booster with Raptors installed, why would they not at least use it for a short hop? Why wasn't Mark 1 used as a hop? It didn't, and why, I mean, they're going to reuse the engines from it, so it's not like it's like being thrown away or anything. But I think they're going to be static firing it most likely, just kind of testing their ground systems. They've never done anything with a super heavy booster, so it really just begs the question of like, how much testing do you want to do right off the bat for your first one? And I think SpaceX just kind of came up with, for them, they want to have the first booster just be a basic test. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's up to them to decide, but we will see. This is from Ola saying, how much heat shielding will Starship need compared to the space shuttle? Guess the shuttle needed a lot more since the airframe was aluminum and not stainless. Ola, fantastic. Absolutely. You nailed it. The space shuttle using an aluminum frame, or if something was a carbon fiber frame, would require bigger, beefier heat shields. Now, one of the differences between the space shuttle and Starship is the space shuttle, because of the aluminum airframe and because it used those silica tiles, those were really good insulators, but they can't handle high peak temperatures, and neither could the aluminum airframe underneath the heat shield tiles of the space shuttle. So those big wings on the Delta wing on the space shuttle did help it stay up in the upper atmosphere longer, so that it didn't experience nearly as high peak temperature. Starship, on the other hand, with stainless steel having a much higher melting point, can already handle higher peak temperatures, but also that tough rock heat shield material is a little bit ablative, so it means it can flake off a little bit. The space shuttle could not. So say you came in like really spicy, at a really hot reentry, maybe you're coming back from Mars or interplanetary missions, or the moon or something. It will ablate. It will ablate. It might ablate a lot. It might ablate a little. And because of that, it can handle higher peak temperatures. So as far as the heat shielding, how much heat shielding, it's kind of relative, but in general, stainless steel it can handle a lot higher temperatures, so it should comparatively need less heat shield compared to aluminum. Now, of course, titanium would be a great option on paper because it has an even higher melting point and can be stronger than stainless steel. But it's not great at cryogenic temperatures, which is another thing, because on the other side of that hot temperature is the cryogenic fuel. And so titanium's not great in that regard. It's also really expensive and really hard to work with. So stainless steel is honestly a great compromise between the different temperatures that the vehicle will experience, but also being able to rapidly prototype these, you know, because I kind of think that SpaceX lives by the mantra of waste steel, not time. This is awesome. Thank you for saying hello in South Africa. That's awesome. Any other South Africans out there? Would love to know. All right, so this is sun up at 7:22. May burn off the fog. Have another cup of Java. So yeah, we're coming up on 9 minutes from sunrise. Again, does not look like it. And that, I know that's kind of the theory always. Like, you know, does the sun burn off the fog? Around here, it doesn't seem to. There have been days where, especially when I was on South Padre Island, which has very similar weather conditions to Boca Chica, because it's so close to the beach. There's days where I couldn't see the pool from my window, the pool of my own hotel, because it was that foggy all day. So sun or not, it didn't really matter. It looks like so far today, if there's no way they're going to be able to fly it in this fog. That is bad. That is absolutely ridiculous. This is from Ford Perfect. Check out DPA microphones for very loud sources. Are you familiar with DPA microphones? Andrew just did this. So maybe for a future upgrade. Let's see. This is from Keep Trying. Do you wish we Americans would talk only in metrics, so kilometers? 1,000%. I can't tell you how many people get mad at me for using the metric system primarily, and then resorting usually to imperial. Again, of course, I'm from the United States. Of course, I grew up just like everyone else in the U.S. with imperial as our primary source of measurement. Unless you're like buying a 2-liter of Coke, or, you know, like all of these other things that are just kind of baked into your cars, and like 5-liter engine. Like we're already using, or on a track, you know, no one's out there going the 642-foot dash. It's the 200-meter dash. You know, like there's so many things that we already are familiar with in the United States that are measured using the metric system, and it makes sense. It actually, you know, of course, it actually makes sense. It's based on something called logic, where things are divisible by 10. That totally makes sense. So yeah, obviously metric is an easier thing to measure stuff with. The only thing that when people have a problem with metric and they're like, metric sucks, I don't get it. It's like, it's because you haven't used it. It's all relative. You know, we all grow up with something, and then that is your relative nature. Like that is what you're used to. Of course, for about 65% of my audience does not have a clue what a foot is, besides a body part maybe. You know, the amount of people, again, my demographic is almost 65% international, and it's a lot more common for people in the United States to at least have some grasp of the metric system than compared to than people having a grasp of the imperial system that are outside of the United States. So Americans are more familiar with the thing that we're not familiar with than the rest of the world. And again, we're the minority, even in my own YouTube channel. Obviously, internationally, we're vastly the minority. I know that we're probably making quite a nice little chat here, but frankly, I mean, metric, it makes sense. We've tried switching many times. We kind of half-heartedly switched up many times in the United States. I really wish that we just go for it. Oh, Andrew, can you come? I guess we can't really paint anything at this point. It is just completely white, but. Both. Overexposed fog. Give us a second here, guys. We'll paint that up. Oh, you can almost see a light on the pad. Who knows? But again, it is not. As you can tell, it's basically just the fog is getting just factually worse at this point. Oh man. This is from P. Stevo. I say literally way too much. Apart from that, keep up the good work. Well, thank you, P. Stevo. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I feel like my generation is just full of malaprops. Like that's all we like. That's just our language. We misuse the word literally. I'm sorry. I'm guilty, but it sucks because it's hilarious that it just quite frankly is directly, taking away from exactly what it's meaning. But I'm sorry of being guilty of that. This is don't use a SM58, use a kick drum mic like a Healy PR40. I don't know. We'll look at other solutions, but this was a quick, dirty. Obviously we don't want to leave like an $800 microphone out in the weather. Those 58s are rock solid. You can kick them off a cliff and have them land on a bed of cactuses while on fire, while it's also trying to compute pi, and it will just still keep working. Absolutely no problem. But, we'll look into other options. For now, we just want to step up the game and not just be using like the built-in microphones. We have, what I like is when we have our other remote cameras, we were using these really nice shotgun mics that sounded fantastic. I still think the best we've done so far is SN8's audio was unbelievable. If you haven't watched our supercut of SN8, our slow-mo supercut, watch that just for the audio. It is, and by the way, if you ever hear audio of a rocket launch on YouTube, including our own or anything else, and you hear it crackling and it sounds like it's distorting the microphone, that's what it sounds like in real life. It's quite literally rippling and crackling in the air. So it's taking it and it's distorting the air. That's not like too high gained or overrunning the diaphragm of the microphone. That's just actually what it sounds like. So our SN8 recording is, honestly, I know I might be a little bit biased, but to me, that is actually my favorite and most realistic audio of a rocket I've ever heard. And that is from my experience of being at dozens and dozens of rocket launches. That is the closest to what it actually feels like. It's not, the thing about rocket launches, it is a little bit of a rumble. There's a decent, low rumble, but it's almost like sometimes it's this percussive, crackling, firecracker sound in the air that's more distinct, and that changes a lot between different rockets. The Falcon 9 has quite a high crackle, likely because of its 9 engines, but the rocket that I want to hear almost the most is the Electron, and I think Rocket Lab does a phenomenal job of their audio recordings. Every launch of the Electron, it just has this bright crack sound as it takes off, and I think it's super, super, super cool. All right, this Music Wolves first Starship launch from before 10 a.m. Maybe? No, I don't think so. Okay, to be perfectly honest, I'm not even sure this is going to launch today, period, just because the visibility is so poor. But we will see. Let's see. This Maria, so we went on live early because Elon mentioned last night that they're tracking for a potential 8 a.m. liftoff. Wow, I'm hearing a lot of... That might be them actually spinning up the compressors. I don't think we've ever had audio like this clean to really know what that is. Wow. So something is happening. All right. Okay, well, stuff is happening, and it's T-minus 40 minutes from their targeted time. I mean, wow. That, I guess we'll have to go based on audio for this, but it does sound like they might be, pressurizing the tanks. We've never really heard this, though, guys. People want to... Would you mind turning down the ambient a little bit? Just a little bit, thank you. No, but people are all saying they can't hear me anymore. All right, wow. So I guess we might not be able to see anything today, but we'll sure hear something today. Sarah says, do you have any idea on how they're going to do a test landing on Mars? Do they need to build a pad, and how will they clean up failed landings? Those are great questions. they're going to have to test it by trying to actually test landing on Mars. The good thing is you can test a lot of the aerodynamic, capabilities and similarities between Mars and Earth in Earth's upper atmosphere. I mean, it is, after all, it's the same exact physics. It's going to be a lower atmosphere. Again, Mars is about 1% the amount of atmosphere as here on Earth. It is lower gravity, so that is different, but it doesn't really matter when you have a lot of velocity. All that matters is your velocity and the air pressure. So we can simulate very similar conditions and very similar what the vehicle will experience aerodynamically in Earth's atmosphere. Now, for the actual landing, they're just gonna have to model it right and nail it. And there's not going to be a landing pad for the first landing, and there might be some explosions on Mars. Mars is big. If you have a Starship blow up, I mean, I don't want us to trash another planet, but Starship blowing up on Mars would be nothing. You have to think about a house on Mars, our house on a planet on its own. It would just be it's just nothing. So imagine just the debris field of a blown up rocket would be completely insignificant in the grand scheme of everything. So. So Comedy in our Discord wants to know, do I think there's actually a requirement for good visibility? Nothing about the flight is dependent on visibility. So we've mentioned that again. That's a common question today. We don't know their exact flight criteria. I'm going to actually ask Elon on Twitter here real quick. We'll respond to the tweet he responded to us. What is the weather criteria? Visibility criteria. Any chance this baby goes off while it's this foggy? All right. Get on Twitter and retweet that and like it so that we maybe get Elon's attention and he answers it for us, because that would be awesome. All right. This is from Wouter Stassen. Do you think SpaceX will use thrusters to more accurately position boosters when catching them instead of landing on legs? So I'm assuming that Wouter is talking about using not just the engine thrusters, but, because the engine, thrusters and engines are kind of, people use them interchangeably. So SpaceX, of course, will use the engine's gimbal, the main Raptor engine's gimbals, to actually, to steer the vehicle. That's its primary source of steering. But just like the Falcon 9 when it's landing, sometimes you see little puffs of the cold nitrogen gas thrusters at the top of the Falcon 9 to help it, do some extra last-minute little adjustments. So it's very likely that Super Heavy, in order to really precisely land, will have some powerful hot gas thrusters, and that those will help aid in the final touchdown and landing. So, yeah. By the way, Andrew, are those on manual?
Yeah, that's fog.
I know, but shouldn't we just have it on auto AV anyway when it?
They're on auto. That's
Dang, it's just fog.
yeah.
Ick. Please don't launch when it's like this. Oh, it's true. The Raptors, Discord, you're right. The Raptors would clear the fog away in a hurry, locally for a very brief second. Oh, man. Yeah. All right. Again, a friendly reminder, I'm not going to be able to get to all your super chats. Thank you guys so much for those of you that have donated. It really means the world to me. Now it physically keeps the lights on at the studio, makes the studio possible. Again, we are at Mars Studio B. For those of you tuning in, we are right at the edge of the exclusion zone. We are 5 miles away, 8 kilometers away from SpaceX's Starship rocket, even though we can't see it, and even though our cameras that are 150 meters, so 500 feet away, cannot see this rocket today. That is fog. That is straight up horrible fog. This is worse than Vandenberg. This is worse than Vanden fog. This is like absolutely zero. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for those of you. The good thing is I'm trying to answer as many questions for you guys as I possibly can. We again, our awesome YouTube chat members and our awesome YouTube mods are doing a great job of putting questions from non-super chatters in here as well. So ask your questions in chat. If it's a good question, we'll put it up on air and I'll answer it. So you don't have to, it's not like I'm just taking answers from super chat. So, yeah, let's see. This is a question for you, Andrew. From Dex Vinyl, question for Andrew. Does Tim time somewhat equate to Elon time relating to goals for Studio B? This is his reaction. And it's actually, here, I should probably try to replicate the exact movement because it's really just, it's disappointed, I think. Here, put up Studio B cam, and then everyone can see your sulken, you are in the absolute shadows of the beast. But yeah, maybe you can see him at the control board. But anyway, yeah, he was going, as in Tim time is very similar to Elon time. Although, I think timelines of getting things like locally done, I don't know, project-wise, grand project-wise is fairly realistic. But like setup and stuff like that, way too optimistic. Yeah.
You need to get up like an hour earlier.
We'll see. Whatever, Dad. Don't tell me what to do. Carrot F. With your mic setup, have you make sure your preamps and interface will be able to handle the signal levels as well? Upwards of 180 decibels input is tricky. Nope. Unfortunately, we were hoping to run Dante Audio, which is basically you can run it's a PoE powered, so power over Ethernet to be able to run over our network. Separate. It's basically like a miniature preamp that we could control from here, ish. A passive preamp, just an input.
Dante has nothing to do with the preamp.
But you can gain it up and down, or is it just line level? Like,
Line level.
okay,
So we do need.
we would need a preamp out there.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway, which we can't probably control then.
No.
We're working on it. We're working on some good solutions, but this stuff is tricky. Hey, the fog right here is actually, I can see surprisingly far now out the back here. Why is are we actually, do we still have, is that actually live footage, unfortunately?
Yeah, there's like noise.
Oh my god, that is terrible. Again, our the view you have on the right is from 150 meters from the rocket. There's a tree literally 20 meters in front of this camera, and you cannot see it. That is how foggy it is. It is absolutely crazy. So people asking, is it going to launch today? We don't really know. I'm hoping to get the answer from Elon on Twitter, but he has not answered yet. We don't know the actual weather criteria. So this is from wow, I'm Wayo. Sorry, I'm probably totally mispronouncing your name. Is there a specific reason for such an early target? Is this a response for FAA not showing up yesterday or part of the testing process? Well, I think the vehicle's just ready. You know, they want to get it. They want to launch it as soon as possible. Period. So I think this is just simply a response of like, let's try and go right at 8 at the beginning of our window. That would be just get it done. If we can, let's do it. So we will see. But yeah, I'm not honestly sure. Okay, this is from Spencer Teddick. I've noticed most of your cameras have a pretty flat log image. Is this for color grading in post? Are you able to color the stream as well to capture log footage? Thanks for all you do. So actually, Spencer, we now have LUTs on all of our inputs. So we actually, locally here, we're using any camera that is, we do shoot in log. We shoot in either Zcam log or we have pretty flat profiles. Are we actually shooting in Blackmagic RAW? Is that what we're doing on those URSAs? So the URSAs we're shooting in Blackmagic RAW, a very flat color profile. Or it's a very flat codec. Is there a separate color profile?
Yes, there's still a color profile.
What color profile are we shooting in? In just log? We're still shooting in log with Blackmagic RAW. And then those you can actually output a LUT. So we can paint them up, make them look good on air. But our Zcams, we can either paint using the Teradex, or if they're locally here, we can paint them up using a Teranex, which is weird. We have Teradec, which is like an encoder, and a local Teranec, which is like a audio disembedder and a thing that we can color grade. And so yeah, we are shooting in as high dynamic range as we can, so we can post edit better. I'm sure you guys have all seen Cosmic Perspectives, beautiful images from there and our Z cameras. We kind of both set up cameras together. We share footage and equipment and time and energy and all this stuff. We're just one big happy family. But you've seen their awesome job of color grading and making the cinematic look from these rocket launches. That's because they are shooting it in a flatter profile. Ryan's really just a phenomenal artist as far as color grading footage. So, Jonathan, will SpaceX ever just strap two super heavies in the middle strap two super heavies to the middle super heavy to make a super heavy Starship? No. Elon has mentioned many times that that is not the easy way to scale up a rocket. He, I think, in a way, really regrets Falcon Heavy. It was supposed to be this easy way to do things, and it turned into an engineering nightmare. So, yeah, it's not easy. The easier thing to do would just be physically scale up the rocket, especially when you have a facility right here capable of making large steel rings. The next thing we would see would likely be a 12-meter or an 18-meter wide Starship. So currently Starship is 9 meters wide, so 30 feet wide. It stands about 50 meters tall, so 165 feet tall. Of just the upper stage, the booster on top of that will be another 70 meters below it, so it'll stand 120 meters tall in total. So what is that, like about 400 feet or whatever? It's going to be huge, but they could always scale it up even more. When you have the factory right here, you can absolutely do that. So, yeah, but that would be the better way than trying to strap boosters onto it. This is from AdStar APAD. Why do they wait until the last moment to do the flip on landing? Why not flip a half kilometer up to give the engines enough time to adjust to make a smooth landing? Ad Astra, that's exactly what my new video is about. So I have shot it. I have edited a good amount of it. It's about why they're doing the belly flop maneuver, whether or not that's a good idea, why they're flipping where they're flipping. They're already flipping at about half a kilometer. There's actually a narrow window of when they can. They cannot do that flip any higher. Like you can't even do the flip at about 2.5 kilometers or higher. It just simply does not have enough fuel for that because it's inefficient to flip early and then land tail down. Gene, what's up? Ooh, what is that you got there? Whoa, Gene bringing the Mexican. Yes. Everyone, I feel like, we need to make this absolutely clear that we can only do this because of my friends Gene and Rachel with S Padre, they've been running cameras and doing work for us for over a year now. They were actually kind of the OG live stream out here. They had a balcony cam, a beach cam that they started pointing at Starship when it was just a dirt field. So S Padre, you guys are very familiar with them. Gene and Rachel, they are awesome. But then also, of course, Cosmic Perspective here. That is Mary Liz and Ryan Chalinsky. They are a huge help. They're the ones out there setting up the remote cameras this morning, which we still can't really see anything from yet, as you can tell in our right screen. Again, that is an actual image from only... Look at that. That is so... Have you seen the footage right now? You saw blue sky on the way here.
Yeah, it looked good earlier.
So there is some blue sky out there? Okay, we have confirmation from the weatherman himself, Gene, that there is some blue sky in the area. It'll just have to make its way over to the pad, but there is physically blue sky somewhere. Gene even has a picture, photo evidence. But we will see. All right, let's keep going here. Let's see. This is David. I did kind of talk about this a little bit. The heat tiles on the ailerons for this flight. So again, they actually had that for SN10 as well. They put some heat tiles on not the windward side, the side that would be facing heat, but they put it on the back side. And I'm starting to hypothesize. I just thought of this, that maybe they want to test vacuum conditions or lower pressure environments where the tiles would be experiencing closer to space or high altitude in the leeward side, because it would create this negative pocket of air. So, hey, look at that! The tree is back. The tree is back. Again, that image, that tree. How far is that tree, Gene? 50 feet. That tree is literally like 15 meters away. It is like hilariously close to the camera, yet you cannot see. You can barely see it. That is how foggy it is out there today. So leafy end up, ruddy end down. We do have good confirmation on that. So yeah, we're pretty sure. My hypothesis again. I don't have any other knowledge on this, but my guess is that the tiles are on the leeward side like that to be able to help kind of test it in all environments. Not only when they're getting pressure forcing into the rocket, but also trying to be almost pulled off of the rocket. So, all right. Yes, thank you. Coffee made it. Thank you so much. Coffee. Let's see. This is from no one, I guess. Doesn't have a name there. I'm confused. Doesn't SpaceX have people to check the following day's forecast so we don't need to be hyped for not launch because of bad weather? Hey, I mean, they obviously. I think SpaceX knows and pays attention to the weather as much as anybody. And yes, that is obviously a statement. They're going for flight today. They're trying. And there's a real good chance that this stuff clears up and that they know there's a window where it's clear enough to actually launch this thing. Otherwise, I don't think it wouldn't be worth their time and energy and effort if they didn't think there was a chance they could get this thing off the ground today. That's a lot of equipment, a lot of money, a lot of everything for nothing if they don't do that. So I don't think we're 22 minutes away, but we have not heard any confirmation from Elon yet. So Discord, keep an eye on Elon's feed if he does happen to answer our question. That would be awesome. So this is from Chukka FPV. Have they considered legs like Blue Origin, lower profile and absorbing? So Blue Origin's new Shepard has awesome landing legs. Little it almost looks like a virus or something to me when the landing legs come out. I think they're awesome. They have you can tell there's a lot of shock absorption built into them. They don't have a very wide stance, but I was honestly expecting something like that for Starship this whole time. We might see something more like Falcon 9. We just honestly don't know. For a little bit for sure there will be landing legs on probably everything. I'm guessing the first star or super heavies that land will have legs. That's my guess. I don't think they're going to be ready to catch it anytime too soon or attempt to catch it. But I did realize that, the strong back, the thing that holds the rocket in place, could also be the same mechanism that catches it out of the sky. So they might have that, built in already. SpaceX stream is actually on. They are going for it. We better get Ryan's scope ready. Like they're showing 11 minutes. Whoa. Still pretty skeptical, but yeah. Is Ryan here?
Yep. I mean, not that he's gonna see anything really.
That's true. If it launches right now. Oh, this is my nightmare. It might be too foggy to even see the one that actually lands. Good thing we have the pad cameras today, though. Although right now they'd be nothing. However, I'm still convinced that they would not be flying this if they can't see it at all. Like I don't think that's a possibility, but apparently it might be. Let's see. This is from Agent Dark Boot. Mars has a very thin atmosphere compared to Earth's. How much faster will the terminal velocity be there? Substantially faster. Because again, terminal velocity, great question. Terminal velocity is the balance at the point where your drag, the vehicle's drag, is equal is equal to the amount of gravity pulling down on it. So as the force of gravity is pulling down, if the force of drag is equal, you are at terminal velocity. Now, obviously, if you have less air to produce drag, your terminal velocity is higher. Starship might never hit terminal velocity on Mars. It likely won't ever hit terminal velocity. Drag may never catch up to velocity to the actual pull of gravity there. But we will see. This is a good question from Scaps. Hey Tim, if SN11 lands, will they refly it until it fails? I don't know. There's not a ton of value in them reflying SN11, other than saying they did. I think they'd be more valuable to just reuse the engines, but to not necessarily, refly it, because I just really don't think there's a lot of value in that, frankly. They might. I mean, it might be the type of thing where if it lands and it's looking good, Who knows? It's SpaceX. It's Elon Musk. He might go, hey, I want to see what. Just refly it. Stick this thing right back up on that beast, on that stand, and let's refly it again. But yeah, how would so apparently NSF is saying engine show. How do they have venting on their stream? I mean, can you see it? How can you see anything? I mean, you can see venting. Wow. How can they what? How can they do that? Do they have like infrared or something? Weird. Can we just try painting down a little bit on that? Just and see if we can get something, because apparently NSF has shots of it. I feel like you can't see. I can't imagine that you can. Wow. I don't know how you could make out anything from that, but wow. I guess we'll see. Oh. Why are people saying it's venting? To me, that looks like fog. I don't know if it's actually venting. We haven't heard any. We can hear. We have good audio here, guys. So until we start hearing some of the whirs and venting, I'm not calling that they're venting yet. I don't believe it yet. So this is from Unhappy Travailing. Says, I bet you're running on only caffeine. How is your morning going? I just got caffeine in my mouth 10 seconds ago. So we will see. It's going well, though. I'm hoping that this all goes well. I'm glad. I feel like our studio was a lot more set up today than it was yesterday, especially like a couple days. Friday was that the other attempt. Oh, God. We weren't even close. We were panicking. But it's pretty cool now. Like on launch day, I can just curl up all the coils and everything and all the cables, and pretty much just roll things out. You know, we had all the cameras ready to go, and it feels good. It feels really good. I'm excited about Mars Studio B. I hope you guys are too. All right, this is from Anthony Wiggin. Says, hey, everyday astronaut, during the SN10 launch, I had trouble explaining why they let gases out while fueling before launch. Could he come in clutch and explain it to me? Thanks for your vids and good luck today. Great question, Anthony. So yes, of course you'll see some gas kind of coming out. You'll see gases like venting out from the vehicle as it's sitting on the pad. That's because as the fuel on board will heat up. Obviously the ambient air temperature, we are not at minus 180 degrees Celsius here in South Texas. So the ambient air temperature will warm up the rocket, which then warms up the fuel inside the vehicle. The fuel inside the vehicle is liquid methane and liquid oxygen. So as it expands and goes and heats up and phase changes from liquid to gas, it expands. And so as it expands, they need to vent it out. Otherwise, it would rupture the vehicle. So you're just seeing it kind of constantly doing some vents and stuff like that, because they need to make sure that the fuel on board is not expanding, overexpanding as it phase changes, and therefore blowing up the rockets. So, yeah. Are they actually live? Well, I mean, they have the link and it's showing 5 minutes till they go live. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get an update from them. Renow, how's it going, Renow? Hope all is well with you down in South Texas. Can't wait to see this Starship fly. Hope for a less explosive of a landing this time around. Any word on when we might see the first SLS launch with that successful green run test completed? So SLS has a time frame. Once they started stacking those solid rocket boosters, they basically have 1 year shelf life before they're need to be repacked and refueled. So basically, if it doesn't fly by this time next year, it'll be a huge delay. So they have a massive fire under their butt. I mean, I know that huge delays are par for the course with SLS and frankly almost any rocket program period, but especially SLS. So if they can actually get it out there to Kennedy Space Center, and if they can actually do the things that it needs to do, then yeah, it will fly within a year. So we will see. Heather, New Zealand, or Heathen, New Zealand. Bit off topic, but have you seen the new Lego Discovery Space Shuttle releasing it in a couple days? Looks amazing. I have. I want it. I want it. It looks awesome. Ryan Havens. Tim, wouldn't it be possible to, and best, to use the pressurized bladder in LOX and methane header tanks instead of helium to push the fuel properly to the engines during the flip maneuver? I get that question quite a bit, and we've actually talked about that. I have a podcast that I do each week called Our Ludicrous Future, and each week we do a Why Don't They Just? And that one comes up quite often. Why don't they just use like a bladder like that? A bladder is not going to, you still have to have something to backfill. You still have something that needs to push, right? You have to have slightly higher pressure on your end in order to push the fuel out and to help maintain pressure inside your sealed pressure vessel. So no matter what, you're going to have a backfilling. You're going to either have your autogenous pressurization, or you're going to have helium or another inert gas like nitrogen to backfill the rocket. Ooh, there's a loud vent. That was a loud vent. Okay. This might be realish. The rocket likely has stuff in it because it just vented. Can we change graphics to rocket venting? Yeah, I mean, definitely heard a full-blown... Holy moly. All right, hey, I'll get Discord's blown up that I have... Holy moly. From Edward Wharton. Edward, thank you so much. Everyone, please say thank you to Edward. Tim for Mars, and you're going, even if it's on my 70th birthday. Thank you so much, Edward. I'm already in Mars, though. You made it happen. You got me to Mars. I'm in Mars Studio B as we speak. I'm where I want to be. But Edward, thank you so much. That is unbelievably generous. You are making this possible. So thank you so much, Edward. Everyone in the chat, please say thank you to Edward. That is awesome. But yeah. I don't want to go to Mars still. You guys know my rule. I want tacos, squirrels, and water. Those are my 3 requirements in life. You know, I don't have to have them I don't need to be petting squirrels. I've never actually, it's a sore subject. I've never actually been able to pet a squirrel. Never even fed one with my hand. That's my goal in life. But I want to see them frolic occasionally, you know, right? If I go to Mars and I also want to just be able to be in water. I don't need a pool or a bath, but the option of getting in water. I don't want a sponge bath for anyway, and tacos. Tacos is easy to solve, but everything else we'll see. All right, this is from Gail. Hi Tim, do you organize meetups for space fans on South Padre Island? So I normally would, pre-pandemic. I can't wait to get back to doing meetups. I used to do those. At Falcon Heavy, another big vent. Yeah, I guess just in case, we probably should. Holy crap. Well, let's wait until SpaceX stream goes live, and if we actually we are waiting, because, yeah, they aren't going to launch without that. Well, we wouldn't even have anything to record at this point, other than maybe debris hitting our cameras. Wow, I can't believe this is maybe kind of happening. Yeah, so I can't wait to get back to meetups. Sorry that I went around. Gamer, what does everything normal mean? So normal is kind of a cheeky pun here. Here, I'll show you guys here. It stems, there's a fun story behind the word normal and the hat that I'm wearing and all that stuff. Let me find it here. Normal. Okay, so here, Andrew, pull this up when you get a second. So normal, I'm just going to read this straight from our website, from shop or everydayastronaut.com/shop. So when everything is going as planned in the aerospace industry, the term is nominal. Obviously, when everything in life is going as planned, the term is normal, right? So normal and nominal. But on July 5th, 2017, SpaceX principal integration engineer John Insprucker accidentally said the word nominal. And from that point on, it forever cemented the word during Intelsat 35E. So from now on, a lot of SpaceX fans and spaceflight fans use the word nominal as it's funny because you can use it however you want. It can be things are going horribly, that's normal. Things are going fantastic, it's normal. So really, everything normal question mark is always going to be checked, because especially with Starship, if it blows up, that's normal. If it lands, that's extra normal. If it lands and then blows up, that's super duper normal. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah. And so if you guys want to help support what I do, consider going to everydayastronaut.com/shop. Shop around, find some awesome merchandise for you. Of course, that helps now keep the studio lights on. And we do have new keychains back in stock. These are red and black options. We also have new mugs and stuff like these, which I'm super stoked on. So yeah, get yourself some awesome merch. It does help me do what I do. So everydayastronaut.com/shop. Shop around, get some cool stuff, and be like Elon Musk and his baby, who wears the merch too. Baby merch. All right. So apparently the fog is hopefully going to clear here. It's what I'm hearing. We'll see. All right. So hopefully that explains that. Andrew, you can take the shop down. Sorry. I know you're doing like 50 things at once. Andrew is the man doing literally 200 things per hour, per minute, per hour, per minute. So yeah, the shot on the left is from our studio here, from Mars Studio B. And again, we are 5 miles, 8 kilometers away from this rocket. We are at the edge of the exclusion zone. We are as close as you can get, period, basically. So unfortunately, we're not seeing anything still, but the rocket is venting. So we'll see if SpaceX goes live, but based on the sounds, I mean, the clock is ticking. Should we, just in case, like at maybe T-minus, should we record just in case at like T-minus 5? I know we won't see anything, but this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. All right. Jason, hello from Gold Coast, Australia. You legend. In Australia, a good or bad place for orbital launch? Is Australia a good or bad place for orbital launches, and why? Hello to my beautiful partner, Courtney. Thanks for all you do. Keep killing it. Well, thank you, Jason. So Australia, New Zealand, the thing you need for launches, it is more advantageous to be closer to the equator. Now, Australia, most of its latitude is very similar to the United States. As a matter of fact, I think it actually... It's surprisingly far south. In my head, I think it feels like it's really close to the equator for some reason, but it is surprisingly far south. So what you want is you need to have you want to go east, because then you're taking into and you're using the Earth's rotation to help aid in getting to orbit, because of course getting into orbit you have to go really fast. You have to go really fast sideways, not just up. You know, if you go up, you're going to go into space and you're going to fall right back down. So in order to stay in space, you actually have to go up into the vacuum of space where there's not an atmosphere to slow you back down, and then you have to go sideways basically. So you're orbiting the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour, or 27,000 kilometers an hour, or 28,000 kilometers an hour. Yeah, you have to go extremely fast. So yeah, so obviously you need an East Coast launch pad. So and then you want to fly over water so that you're not dropping rockets on people. Although the United Kingdom actually launched from Australia in the 60s, I think, with the little lipstick rocket, whatever it was called. I missed that thing. It launched, I think, only 2 or 3 times and landed. The boosters were just dropped in the Woomera. Oh, SpaceX is actually live. Holy cow, guys. What are they going to do? Are we really going to not see this thing today? Are you kidding? SpaceX, don't do this to us. They're live. They don't have a time yet, but they are live. This is crazy. Well, I guess they have cameras on the rocket, so once it clears the fog... I wonder if they have tracking assets, though, that can visually track. Jeez. What was that? Yeah, they're live. It is unlisted, though, interestingly. Uh-oh. Was that for the VR cam?
No, VR cam.
Whose tripod is that? Whoops. All right. Here, I'm making sure. Yo, T-minus 4 minutes. It really... Are you kidding? Hey, just for a little heads up, Andrew, we are a good 20 seconds ahead of SpaceX. Oh my gosh, guys. No way. Come on, fog, clear up. Please clear up. Please. Oh. They don't even have a camera. They don't even have a camera, and they are on the launch pad. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Okay, I don't know what's going to happen here, guys. I don't know if anyone's going to have footage of this, including SpaceX. But I guess we'll watch together. We will, of course, keep our views live. We don't have any ground tracking assets, unfortunately, because it is just way too foggy. We're not even going to try tracking with our cameras at this point. I'm staying in the studio, and I don't even know. I don't even know, guys. This is ridiculous. It is super foggy. So I guess they're going for it. Oh, my God. Elon was right. I mean, I would hope so. I'll get to you guys' super chats, but one big one here. Renaud, thank you. Just wanted to give a big thanks to Andrew, Rachel, Gene, and Cosmic Perspective for all their help with the Starship coverage. Yes. Thank you, Renaud, and thank you, Rachel, Gene, Andrew, Mary Liz, Ryan, Allie, and Cooper, who is not even here with us. Thank you to everyone who makes this possible, and of course, including all of you guys for watching, because you're helping make all this stuff happen. So thank you guys so much. I don't know what we're going to have here today for you guys. I don't know what we're going to have here, but come on. Can they really launch in the fog? Yeah, we're 2 minutes away. I can't believe this. I'm sorry, but I won't believe it until it... Come on. Oh my word, come on. I don't actually, I want it to and I don't want it to. Oh, I just wish it was like a little bit clearer. All we're gonna see, it'll be interesting though, I guess if it launches in the fog to see what the footage will look like. So guys, it's happening. It is happening. I know that we can't see anything. And again, remember, our cameras are only 150 meters away, 500 feet away. You can collapse that and get that out of there, guys. Sorry. So Andrew can actually move. Yeah, this is going to be a podcast version of a rocket launch, apparently. Wow. Andrew, do you want me to pull up their footage?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be reacting to it anyway, I guess, in real time. So, all right, I've got it up. Oh, my gosh. What? Okay, so... Do we have a feedback loop? Sorry. Oh. Well, yeah, well... Oh, my gosh, guys. That's going to be any second for us. Get ready. Our cameras should see something here. Well, it should be now on our cameras. I think they scrubbed. Oh, nope. They're going. No way. No. Yes, but no. Yes, but no. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? They're going for it in the fog? Here it comes. Here comes that sound. I guess this answers the question of if they can launch. Oh my gosh, the studio is shaking. The studio is shaking. No way. Oh, we got a shot of the header tanks? Or the fuel tanks? No way! Can you guys see anything? No! What is going on? Why are they doing this to me? SpaceX! No way! No way! Hey, Gene, remove that bag quick. We'll get a mic out there. All right. Wow. That is absolutely shaking. I can't believe this. Why are they doing this to me right now? I can't believe they're flying when it's this foggy. The studio is literally shaking. No way. Oh, this is like the best and the worst. All right, engine shutdown number 1. Now that is planned. That is their way of throttling, basically. So the Raptor engines, again, can only throttle down to about 40%. So in order to make it so the vehicle doesn't go too fast, they're trying to basically just crawl up to apogee. They're just trying to crawl up to 10 kilometers in altitude. So once it gets up to 10 kilometers, that's 33,000 feet, they're going to basically hover and drain more fuel. So they're basically just trying to keep it going up nice and slow, just like we saw 8, 9, and 10. And so once it gets to that point where, you know, the engines are minimally throttled and they can't throttle down anymore, they just shut one down, throttle the other two back up, and maintain that same vertical velocity. So yeah, look at that. I know it's hard to tell on the screen because they don't actually provide any telemetry, but it is going up, and I can confirm it's still running. It is shaking here. The studio is still shaking. Wow. So I guess visibility is not a concern. Ground winds are, but SpaceX's stream is getting a little wonky. Now the next thing we're going to see is engine shutdown number 2. That's where they're going to go from. It looks like maybe they did already. Yeah, we may have missed that, but that's when they go from 2 engines down to just 1 Raptor engine. And again, they're doing that for the same thing because they drain more fuel. And when they get to the point where even 2 engines throttled at their minimum throttle setting, if they were to be taking off, you know, making it accelerate too quickly, the best thing they can do is just shut another one down and then throttle it back up. Now, SpaceX is missing some of their cameras as well. So we are everyone's flying in the blind here. I'm going to be so bummed if this thing lands. Oh, my word. If this thing lands and we don't even get footage of it landing, I'm going to probably cry. Oh. Yeah, you can almost see Hopper, which oh man, come on, fog. Not even SpaceX feed, guys. Yeah, that's SpaceX's feed is gone. Again, this stuff does not matter. You know, oh, there we go. That is a dizzying shot there. There we go, there we go. It is in the belly flop. There we go. There we go. She's fallen. She's in the belly flop maneuver now. So it's coming back down to Earth from a height of about 33,000 feet, 10 kilometers. And it is just falling belly first now. And it does that, of course, to slow down, go as slow as physically possible. They want to reach terminal velocity, and the terminal velocity of the vehicle, because it's using as much surface area as possible, is very, very slow. So terminal velocity on this vehicle will get down to only about 77 meters per second. So I believe that's like, you know, around 160 or 170 miles an hour or something. So about 270 kilometers an hour. It's pretty slow for a vehicle that's over 100 tons right now with fuel in it. It's probably about 140 tons right now. That is a slow terminal velocity, and that's the whole point. let the vehicle's body and the Earth's atmosphere do as much work for the rocket as possible, so the rocket doesn't have to use as much propellant, as much air. Oh, our fog is getting worse, it looks like. What is that? Big pieces or something?
It has like pieces falling. Something's happening.
I think it blew up.
Yeah.
I think they did flight termination. We're gonna have a boom here, guys. Get ready.
Yeah, that was pieces. This gone.
Oh, they blew it out of the sky.
Yeah, that was pieces.
They just blew it out of the sky, guys. Do we still have our cameras? Oh God.
That's freeze frame.
Oh God. We probably just. I bet there's gonna be Starship pieces on our cameras.
Yep. Well done.
We may have just lost about 20 grand worth of gear.
The cameras are frozen.
They blew it up out of the sky. Pieces of Starship are falling.
We saw pieces landing in front of the camera. That's what I was pointing at. I wasn't
Yeah.
pointing at fog. I was pointing at stainless steel. Can you rewind those few? No, yeah. Well, wow. Oh yeah, look at that. Here, wait. We'll bring the camera and let's point it at that.
Is yours still going, Ryan?
No, but we last frame. Grab the Ursa.
Oh my God.
Grab your. What altitude? Like a kilometer? It's got 6.
It was
Right at.
550 was the last second, so it was only about I think before relight or during relight.
Maybe a kilometer. It looks like. Yeah.
One step forward, 2 steps back, I guess. Yeah, we had debris falling in our shot. Oh God. I do need to remind you guys that, well, here's our last frame. The last frame we got on one of our cameras. This is a VR cam that it's actually a stereo VR cam that Ryan has. You can see debris falling in the frame. And we're gonna work on fixing the cameras here, try to sync the frame rates and stuff so the like a huge. We'll get this to you guys here in a second. But I do want to remind you guys that failures are okay in the Starship program. Oh man, hang on. So what I can do, I guess I can replay I can bring up our feed and just,
You can't see it in the left box falling.
yeah.
Yeah.
We did have it on one of our cameras. That is insane. So a reminder though, it's okay that these rockets blow up. This is obviously a step backwards if it blew out of the sky. But that is not what we wanted to see. Hang on here. Let me see if I can find some of its last moments here. Okay, you ready to pull up my screen when you get a second? Here, yeah, I'll just hide it. All right, so this is watch the left screen here. We started to see debris falling from the sky. Yes, you can go ahead and give the Fs in chat now. I give you guys permission. Oh man. So yep, You can see debris falling from our camera. Oh, big chunks of debris really close to our camera. Oh, God.
All right, hey, roll it back.
Okay. You can actually see it light up with engine relight. Watch the left camera, the left side of the screen.
I got it full.
Oh, okay, so watch this. You'll see engine relight. The sky goes orange for a second, and then it gets probably really bright orange, and there's pieces of debris. Big chunks. Oh, man. Oh, that's not good. Yeah. For those of you curious, yeah, so again, these are prototype vehicles. We will see steps forward. We will see steps backwards. We will see them learn from failures. We will see them iterate on failures. This is okay. This is not, again, there's no one on board. Here's the bare facts. There was no one on board this vehicle. So everyone's safe. There's an exclusion zone. They put a flight termination system on it for a reason. It maybe just didn't even use it. It could have blown up. We don't have any information at this point. We'll have to wait and hear. We will have to wait and hear if there's anything from Elon or anything like that. Yeah, but everything is okay. On our end, we'll have to wait and see if we can get any of our cameras back. Unfortunately, I believe we had five Zcam like E2s out there with some pretty nice lenses on them. A 6K Zcam out there, which was vertical. We also had a VR Zcam and a A7R2 and $4,000 worth of encoders. No, more than that. Oh, God. This could have been an expensive launch. Wow. Well, yeah. We don't have any information yet, so I don't know what we can tell you guys other than it went boom and debris is everywhere, likely on our cameras. Yeah, so that might be the end of pad cams for now for us for at least a while. We'll see. What if there's a huge hunk of Starship just sitting on it? Just slice it in half. Oh, man. Crap. Well, we'll see what happens next, I guess. That really sucks that this all happened during the fog. Like, we don't have any footage of this. We don't have any footage. Oh. Yeah, I mean, we could have just lost signal. It could have been a piece hit a dish.
Yeah.
Or the boom turned the dish. I mean, it could just be the dish. The cameras might be fine. The cameras are relatively far away from the landing pad.
I mean, those chunks were. That dirt splash was.
The dirt splash was a little spooky.
Was quite close.
Was very close.
And then the feed cut out immediately after the dirt splash.
Maybe SpaceX will let us keep pieces of a Raptor if it fell on our...
Also, those were rather small pieces. So that
Oh,
may have
God.
been the beginning. Oh, good point. Like that rest of it. I mean, they didn't look that. The rest of
Oh, yeah, the big heavy parts that float a little bit slower.
the large.
The large chunks might take a little bit longer to get down to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to get a backhoe out there to retrieve our cameras, I think. Okay, guys. Well, moment of silence in the chat for just a second. RIP SN11. RIP PadCam. I'm actually sleep deprived after like 3 days, and you guys were up at what, 2? 2 o'clock. To have our cameras probably just likely blown up with nothing to show for it because it was all fog. We'll find them. Oh yeah, we'll find them. We're getting them back. Worst goes to worst, we'll have a display here of wrecked cameras. But oh my God,
I bet some of them are okay.
I'm sure something will be okay. I'm nervous about the big lithium-ion battery packs we have, though. If those take a big hit, that's a big fire, and then we won't have anything left. We have, what, 1.25. We have 3,000. We have about 4,000 watts of lithium-ion out there. Yeah, did NSF lose their camera? Theirs is still up? Well, that's a decent sign. That maybe a big old fat chunk didn't just land on that whole property. Oh my god. No, no insurance claim on this. This is 100%. Can we beg them to please point it over at our thing? Oh. I am too.
Make sure they take it off there.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Well, let's get to a couple more of your guys' questions and stuff. I mean, at this point, so this is from Tuckbone. So good news, you didn't miss filming the first landing of Starship. Also, here's some coins for new cameras. Thank you, Tuckbone. That is true. I mean, what if it stuck the landing and all we had was fog? I'd be almost, in a way, I'd probably almost be more upset than that. For the first landing, we worked too hard to just get nothing for the first landing. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Sleep deprivation be gone. We didn't miss the first landing. All right, yep. Clapping for that one. Clapping for that one. Oh, man. Well, thank you guys for the camera support. It does mean a lot, honestly. Oh, man. Thank you guys for all the support. NASA said it that'd probably be NASA spaceflight. Yeah, it definitely experienced an anomaly. That was an anomaly. Well, the good news is when it's lighting its engines, unless it changed orientation for some reason, but when it lights its engines, the velocity of it starts to go away from our cameras. So the bulk of the stuff moving should be going away from our cameras. Yeah, they started to light the engines. Here, let's watch the SpaceX replay. Or actually, our replay has SpaceX in it, too. Let's watch it one more time for those people that are just now watching. It will be a little bit of the camera reception thing, but here we go. Actually, it's not bad because I'm just covering up my own thing. Okay, so 4 minutes. The rocket's falling out of the sky, as they normally do, as these starships do. Everything is looking pretty good, except it is a still frame. There we go. So that's normal. Nominal. Things are looking good. Engine chill down will be here in about soon after like 5.5 minutes or so. We'll see engine chill down, and you can see that from the venting. We'll see venting coming from the rocket, just like when it's on the stand. That might be that constant stream you see there. Hang on, maybe not. I think you can normally see it better. Here we go. Okay, there's the tri-vent, I think, that's coming out from underneath the fin.
Remember, this is earlier than that, too.
Yeah, so our feed is ahead of SpaceX's, so we will see the sky go orange before the engines ignite. So this is a replay again for those of you watching. So there goes our orange sky and a big orange flash, and then we'll see debris on our left. Oh, the one engine did not gimbal. That is correct. So maybe they did do FTS because they lost. And then big pieces falling. Hold on. Oh, man. I'm nervous about those big pieces, though.
That orange, I don't think was ignition. I think that orange was FTS. That was too big to be one ignition.
Hang on. Let's look at it again. Well, they did ignition, though. You see the engine ignition and then... Yeah, they may have FTS'd. Flight termination system.
No, it didn't hit the ground because we would have seen something
Yeah, it definitely did not hit the ground before it blew up. But I mean, there could have still been just a rupture or something. Yeah, it definitely did not hit the ground. Orange glow. Oh, man. Wow. All right. Well, I don't know what else we can even say at this point besides, again, thank you guys so much for the support and understanding that, you know, we may have taken a very big loss here today. Game player 1701, thank you, Comrade Cactus, and those of you that are helping for the camera funds. I will make sure if whatever we get here today, if we did lose cameras, we'll work on replacing my physical cameras, but of course Cosmic Perspectives and all of our combined gear. These funds will go back into. I will help make sure that we are paying for that collectively, not putting it like, oh, you guys lost your cameras, mine are fine, you know. So we'll take care of it. We'll take care of everyone. We are a team here, of course. Yeah. Thank you again, all of you that are. It really does help, and I'm kind of getting a little bit teary-eyed just thinking about all of you that want to help us. Because the cool thing about our system, I was really proud about this. I was really, really proud about the way we had this all set up. We had 2 separate Teradek encoders, and each one can have an SDI input and an HDMI input. Now, you're not really supposed to use it as like a switcher. You're supposed to like choose one or the other, but we've been clever, and we've been able to switch it. So what we have 2 totally dissimilar redundant systems. So a battery pack, an antenna for each camera, or each, hang on, so a radio dish pointing back here, and then the battery packs that power it all, totally, again, separate, dissimilar redundancy, going into the encoder, so a switcher, like a little network switch, and the encoder that can encode the video files, and then each encoder has 2 cameras plugged into it, different cameras, so that in theory, we could lose absolutely either channel and still have a launch and a landing camera to go live, which I'm proud of that. It was like we had a backup of everything. We had a backup of the launch, we had a backup of the landing, dissimilar systems, and all of them would be recording. So even if we lost our stream to you guys, we would still be able to have that 4K 120 frame a second footage that you all have grown to love. So I was really proud of the way that we engineered this thing. And it's beefy. It took how long? But how long did from going in and leaving? How long was that for you guys?
2.5 hours.
Still 2.5.
Yeah.
So my goal of 30 minutes is lofty. My goal is to have that set up and running in 30 minutes, and it took 2.5 hours. So we only have to make a 500% improvement in the process. That's all. That's all. I mean, maybe even if we can get it down to an hour, it would be amazing. I guess it would be amazing. We'll try. We'll make improvements in our systems to try to do that. Thank you very much, Brian. Yeah. Well, I guess I can sleep tonight. Interesting, right? What is that?
Can you?
Yeah, can I? Yeah. Sleep in a pile of tears. A pile? Do tears pile? A puddle. A pond. A pile of a pondy puddle of tears. Oh man. Thank you very much. I think let's get away. I want to move away from the pity pool here, and just thanking everyone. Okay, Mike. Thank you so much, Mike Bundy. Thank you so much, and from Anthony. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Wow, thank you guys. Let me know if you guys do have potentially to help with new gear. Otherwise, for beer, I think the beer would help cure the loss of gear potentially temporarily. Yes, thank you guys. Have some beers and take a nap. So again, just in case you are tuning in and you are not familiar with what happened, SpaceX did have another landing anomaly. They were not able to stick the landing with Starship SN11. And we likely lost all of our gear, or potentially, but we will see. So thank you guys for all your support. We're not gonna stay live too much longer because frankly, I probably could just use the rest And let me know if you guys have any more questions, though, and I'll try to get to those. One last thing, but there's not much we can answer. Anything we're answering at this point would just be pure speculation. So, so I don't know what else there is to really say, but thank you so much to all of you who are helping us potentially replace equipment. You know, it really means the world to us. We put everything. When I say everything, I mean all of our energy, time, sweat, blood, and tears, and every dollar we make into trying to make this better for you guys. I was so excited about the stream. The fog sucks. It sucked for us. It sucked for you guys for the stream. It sucked for SpaceX. They didn't even get footage of anything. And then they lost the rocket prematurely. It was not ideal. I'm not that thrilled with how today went. Emmanuel, thank you very much. D. Orpin. Well, the good thing is they did go at 8 o'clock when they said they would.
That's impressive.
That was impressive. Yeah. Thank you guys. Seriously, this is insane. You guys are being incredibly generous. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Again, like long term, if you guys do want to help us make this possible long term, these tips are very generous, but make sure and find us and Cosmic Perspective on Patreon. So patreon.com/Cosmic Perspective. I know you guys have seen their videos. Incredible works of art. Really, truly telling a unique story here. And to help replace gear, I think that's probably the best sustainable long-term thing. So if you want to help us make sure we get back on our feet, Patreon would be probably the best. And or me, patreon.com/everydayastronaut. Yeah, that's because that takes less. You know, YouTube, of course, will take 30% of anything here. Patreon doesn't. So if you do want to help us long-term and make sure that we are up and running again for the next launch and everything's okay, then yeah, that would be that's great. So thank you guys so much. Geez, thank you guys. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, we won't let this get us down. You know, we're here to cover this history.
Wanna let Ryan on the mic?
Yeah, Ryan.
Out there?
Ryan, you want to pop over on the mic and the
Yeah.
and the camera? Let's get Ryan. We'll do side by side face cams and.
Are the headphones active?
Yep, headphones are active, baby.
Sweet. All right, test.
We just need to have Ryan on more often because Ryan's voice is just the most
That's right. We'll
sultry,
soothe our
soothing
emotions today.
Yes, you'll calm us down.
Mm-hmm.
We got double me up there, Andrew. Ryan, how are you feeling? Because you potentially just lost your life savings in cameras.
I don't know. I'm excited to learn what happened. So I want to know more about the launch, and then I want to go check out the area and see how everything fared. I have good hope that there was some debris that fell nearby, but I don't think everything took a total obliterative hit. So, but I have no idea.
It's
So,
good news
we'll
that
see.
NSF is still live because our cameras are quite literally right next to each other, correct?
Exactly.
Like-
Yeah, we're 15 feet away,
Okay.
essentially.
So hopefully, well, I mean, you know, Starship is 30 feet wide, so maybe the diameter of a massive barrel is directly on our camera, and left there is just slightly.
There you go.
I mean, that's the okay.
Right,
No,
right.
no, but it is a very good sign that NSF cameras are live because, yeah, that obviously means it didn't take a huge. There's not a huge debris field there.
Right.
But why don't you run us through what cameras you had and what angles you were most looking forward to today, pre-fog and pre-explosion?
Yeah, well, we had a couple shots trained on the landing pad. We had some a vertical still shot, a 6K vertical-oriented high-speed camera. So we're hoping to get the full flip and landing, which would have been just incredible to be that close and to get the landing and the flip, or the final flip to landing. And then, of course, we had a couple on the launch pad. We had a nice tight shot that we had all morning, but we didn't actually see. Did we actually see Starship? Maybe just the base a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't think we ever saw the top.
no.
But, yeah, and then a VR camera, which I was really excited about. So it's a stereoscopic Z-cam essentially, so 2 wide-angle fisheyes positioned kind of to mirror the left and right eye of our faces. And then to play that back in an Oculus headset, you feel like you're actually there. You get, the stereoscopic parallax between your left and right eye. And they're really wide fisheye views, so we may have a shot. I don't know if we were able to record in the last minute before we lost signal, but that would be amazing, is to actually place yourself there during liftoff and then maybe even see what happened or see debris. But
honestly,
I don't know if we got that shot. We'll see.
Well, we did. It was recording, right? I mean,
there was something kind of fishy with the connection, so yeah, we saw it. We could connect to it. So, but it might be a heartbreaker. We'll have to.
Can you imagine stereoscopic images of a rocket falling out of the sky in front of you?
crazy.
It'd be that might be too
cool.
scary. Maybe there's a good thing it didn't happen, because that would honestly be like spooky.
That would
to
be like a
see.
PG-13 kind of.
Like that could be traumatizing.
It could be. That's true. That's true. I don't know if we'd want to be there when that happened, and we probably couldn't, share that kind of stuff either. So.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, I am curious what we're going to be able to share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Elon tweeted that a high production rate solves many ills. So what that means, to break that down, basically he's saying like this really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, because they have a backlog of these things basically waiting to fly, right? These are not just, these are not these really, particular one and only in the world. People make fun of me for saying the word bespoke too often, but yeah, they are not bespoke. NSF camera did get hit.
Apparently it moved.
Yeah, there was a tripod bump, I think they saw. But it, yeah,
Oh dear God.
still.
Oh man, they got big chunks falling.
They did.
I'm watching here. Yeah. They landed right on the tank farm. Oh, just tons of
It landed on the tank farm.
There was a big thud that may have been our camera breaking. Oh no. The one that shook their camera may have been the one that wrecked our camera. Yeah.
Yikes. Yikes.
That seemed about the right time also. Because I saw the dirt splash and then a big shake. And we saw the
Something may have just hit the guide wire, so maybe.
That's true. We
Because
yeah,
we've got guide wires in 3 different directions, which would take a nice chunk of area.
That's
So
true.
maybe something hit that would immediately cut our connection
Yeah.
to the dishes. So fingers crossed it's just a connectivity issue, but we'll see.
So again, we really don't have almost any. Yeah, Elon tweeted again, I think. Or did he not? Is it the same one? And just so you guys know, these are the risks we take. Like, we signed up for this. Don't feel too sorry for us with our cameras. Yes, it sucks. But we literally signed waivers and liability and everything. This has nothing to do with SpaceX. So please don't go like, Elon, their cameras got broken because your rocket. Like, we know this is a possibility. This is 100%
Right. Yep.
something that we signed up for.
Yep.
That's part of the risk of covering this stuff live, or covering it. Period. At LC39A, we've been to many launch pads around the world, and every time you put a camera going, this might be the last time I see this thing,
Oh yeah. Yep. That's right.
or at least the last time I see it in one working piece. So it is par for the course. Yeah. So we'll see, guys. I just hope that at least if the cameras got kind of squashed, I hope we can get the memory cards out of them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So that should be recoverable. I mean, unless it's just a terrible hit.
Right.
But
Yeah,
even
those
if-
cameras are little tanks.
If,
Those
if they took a
Z-cams
tumble, oh yeah,
are
that's a big
tanks.
piece
It
of
would-
aluminum. So
Yeah, it would be
Yep.
hard to totally squash it to the point where you don't even have the memory cards
right,
active.
that's some
so.
serious squashage.
Squashage. Oh man.
Yikes.
Well, yeah, yeah. He said at least the crater's in the right place. Is that what he
Crater?
said? On our cameras. Right on our cameras. I don't think I'm gonna do that.
right on target.
Oh man. Well, again, thank you guys for all your support. We will get right back at business here. Tony Rogers, thank you. Jeez, thank you guys. Everything helps. I promise we'll get back up in business. This is not going to slow us down here. It'll probably cost us something. I'm almost certain it'll cost us something. But we'll be back in business. I promise. And maybe we can get a sponsorship from Zcam. I'm glad we didn't. Okay, here's something we almost did.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Actually, do you want to pull the 12K off the stand there, Ryan, for me quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
And bring it in, because this is something that I've debated doing soon. So, 1 second. He's probably never. Have you ever worked one of those new clippy things?
No, there we go.
Yeah, it's kind of a.
It's locked and then.
Well, I want the actual. I want to. Oh, so we do have 2 cameras that we're really excited about that we're running from Blackmagic. This is just an Ursa G2, so 4.6K at 120 frames a second. We're definitely thinking about putting this out there. They're not. I'm nervous because I don't know if it's as weatherproof as like those Z cameras are like almost entirely sealed. This has a lot of big vents, but I've debated putting this out, which would be really good. I mean, the footage from this is going to be a little bit better. I would argue than the Z cam. And then wait, how is that one still? Oh, it's right. Got it. And then, but the one that I was really thinking about putting out there, and I'm really glad I didn't at this exact moment. Really glad I didn't. Is this chonker? So this is it's wet, dripping wet already here. But this is our Ursa Mini. I don't know why they call this a Mini, but this is the Ursa Mini 12K here, and this is what we're using now as kind of our secondary tracking camera. Because what's cool is we can shoot it at a little bit wider. We can shoot, we can shoot at 600 millimeters to 1200 mil. Or no, not 1200. It's only about 900 millimeter equivalent because it's on the Super 35 sensor. And then we can crop in, so we can shoot in 4K, in 8K 120 frames a second, or 12K. We can shoot in 12K 30 frames a second, or 8K 120 frames a second. What that means is, say you're tracking a little bit wider than you'd prefer. Obviously we want to track as tight as possible. Like the telescope's at like 5,000 millimeters equivalent, I think, or 4,500 millimeters equivalent. But the problem is if you miss it, you miss it and you can't stabilize, because anytime you post-process stabilize, you're cropping in to try to stabilize. So the theory here is if you're at 600 millimeters or 900 millimeters and you're kind of wide, you can crop back into 4K from 8K and stabilize the image, and we can keep Starship perfectly planted in the middle of the frame, hopefully. But I have also had thoughts about putting this out there at some point later on, maybe, and trying to get some 240 frames a second or something, I guess, with permission, or vertical 8K and then post crop later down to 4K 120. Wait, what? Someone found tank insulation? That can't be right. Where is this? There's no way. I think that's just a piece of rubber. Elon tweeted again. Oh. Looks like engine 2 had issues on ascent and didn't reach operating chamber pressure during landing. Do you want to pop this up on the screen here? Had issues on ascent and didn't reach operating chamber pressure during landing burn, but in theory, it wasn't needed. Something significant happened shortly after landing burn start. Should know what it was once we can examine the bits later today. Wow. So they don't even know yet. They don't even know yet. Wow. Yeah, the physical bits and the data bits probably. Oh man. Again, so Rise saying NSF's cam went down as well, but there was a massive chunks coming down. But they're back up though, so maybe it just, I think they're bonding, so they're using like a live view on their end, so they can have multiple signals coming from multiple places, so it could be disrupted temporarily. We're actually pointing Wi-Fi dishes straight back here at the studio so that we can. That's how we're getting such low latency, because we're literally. It's almost like we ran an Ethernet cable the full 5 miles or 8 kilometers long. That's what the cameras think, basically. So we're basically not having to encode into the cloud and bring it back down, but it relies on those dishes. So it's not ideal as far as we don't have any backup options, but that's why we do have 2 dishes, so that we do have some backup options. But so what NSF does with live views and things like that is they could have some slight interruptions, and then multiple things are bonded together, so it might be able to stay back online. So they really took it up to 11. Yes, they did. They took 11 up to 11. Thank you so much, Pierre. Wow, thank you. I think that we don't have any info. SpaceX doesn't have any info yet. We don't have any info. I think it's pointless for me to stay on air a long time and tell you that I don't know what happened. You can obviously follow Elon Musk's Twitter. If you do want to know what happened, I'm sure he'll let us know as soon as anything, as soon as we know anything. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually really, really bummed right now for a lot of reasons. But thank you guys for watching with me. Thank you for tuning in. I do promise, I swear, I promise the next thing I'm going to do besides working on replacing cameras and tidying up the studio here is I'm going to get back to editing video. So you actually will see a video tonight, a short one tonight. But then the belly flop video that's about 45 minutes long, and it's a deep dive on why SpaceX is doing this belly flop maneuver, why they're doing this belly flop maneuver so close to the ground. That will be up before the next Starship hop, I promise. The next Starship attempt. Period. Like, period. That is my next priority. So now that the studio is pretty much up and running. But thank you guys. I love you guys so much. But again, I'm a little bit bummed. But in the grand scheme of spaceflight and the grand scheme of space history, this is a small blip. I'm mostly bummed because of the lack of views of this. If we saw a huge explosion on camera and kind of had an idea of what happened, and we had footage of it, and we had an answer and stuff, we'd be cheering, and we'd be like, oh well, we lost some cameras. But the fact that we risked all these cameras for nothing is a bit of a bummer. I just never would have imagined that would have launched in fog like this. But yeah, this might be the last. I'll sign off with my last tweet here. I'll show you guys this real quick. This was a picture of us setting up our system this morning. Rachel took this picture. Oh, it's kind of sad now. And you, oh, yep. Rest in peace, Padcam. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, if you want to support what I do and what Cosmic Perspective does, and S Padre and everyone involved in this production, consider becoming a Patreon member by going to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. There you can gain access to our exclusive Discord channel. Hi, Discord. I love you guys. And you can gain access to those clean feeds as well. But also find Cosmic Perspective. It's at patreon.com/Cosmic Perspective. Help with the camera fund and the ongoing onslaught of costs that it takes to capture and witness history and preserve it for you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in with me. I love you guys. I'm going to probably take a rest, have my first nap, and maybe try to get more than 3 hours of sleep for the first time in 3 or 4 days, and reassess the situation as soon as we can. And we'll keep you guys up to date. So find us on Twitter. You can find me at Day Astronaut, because Everyday Astronaut doesn't fit. Cosmic Perspective is at Consider Cosmos. S Padre at Space Padre Isle. Find us on Twitter and keep up to date with us there. And on Instagram, you can find all of us too at similar handles. So, yeah, thank you guys. I love you, and that's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Goodbye, everybody.